other than The Last Dance, has fallen to Favelas on multiple occasions. So it's definitely an interesting kind of storyline we've got headed up. But if we want to go on to map and see exactly where we're playing tonight, Jacob, what maps do we got?
I mean, I know Rentfree does love their Consulate, so if we see that come out, hey, second map, it's almost like I knew it beforehand.
Wow. It's not, DJ didn't tell us. No, DJ didn't know the map bands.
Absolutely not.
They were at the same time as us. But Clubhouse is a map that Favelas has played a lot. They beat Oblation both times they played it. Rentfree also playing Clubhouse against X-Guidance Gaming, now known as, what was it, Bracket Blessed. I think
we just learned that today.
Is what Arrow told me. Consulate, a good map for Rentfree, of course, also playing that against Bracket Blessed, and Coastline being the last one. I like Coastline.
I like Coastline too.
I love Coastline.
Here's the thing, though. We just haven't had that many games in the United States go to a third map.
Yeah,
the first time that ever happened, well, we made a big point of this last week because there wasn't a single U.S. game that went to a decider game, and it was the very final match in the Canadian Challenge League that actually went to a best of 3. So the series that we just saw between Ape and Beast Coast was the first time that we had a series in the United States require a decider map before we knew how the series was going to pan out. I don't mind seeing Coastline as a decider. The only question is how Coastline and Clubhouse fare before then, and the fact that Favelas have beaten Oblation on Clubhouse twice so far is a pretty good indicator to me about how confident they feel in their game plan. I don't necessarily want to knock Rentfree as not being prepared for it, but Favelas already feel super confident in it. So the fact that we're going there to start with is going to be a really big tone setter for how the rest of the series goes.
Yeah, and of course, coming off of CACL last week and coming into the play day, or the first game of this play day, also a 2-1. So maybe we've ended the 2-0 streak. We're going to start a 2-1 streak. That would certainly be cool.
It's just going to be a really, really long night tonight if that's the case.
Yeah, we're already 4 hours since start, and we're just now starting the second game. And, you know, if we want to talk about Favelas on Clubhouse, we've also got the TK King coming out for them. Jolton with probably the longest accidental one-tap TK
legendary.
in PLCL. That was absolutely legendary. But
it made it into a Jaeger himself video as well.
That's true. That's true. That's how you know it's legendary.
Exactly.
If we want to talk about legendary players too, Jake Man and I had this idea. You know, unfortunately, we don't have a fancy graphic like the NAL does, but there are still a couple key players on both these squads that we want to highlight in sort of a head-to-head.
Yeah, let's go ahead and talk about the one from Rentfree real quick. I wanted to highlight Thomas real quick. The man was obviously top rated according to CGG stats at a 1.57. He was playing primarily Smoke and Sledge, so and not necessarily in an entry role, but he was still playing, you know, the support role as the Smoke when they were on their defensive rounds. And the thing we also haven't talked about yet is that Rentfree clobbered Guidance Gaming last week. It was 17 total rounds played and only 3 combined rounds lost over 2 maps. It was a bludgeoning. It was insane. But he also still had really good stats in spite of that, going 19-6, an entry rating of 3-2. So he still had a whole bunch of round impact, even though it was probably against a considerably weaker opponent. The idea is that you come into week 2 and the opponents are supposed to be a little bit closer than they are in the first week. And if Thomas is able to keep up that kind of performance, I would hope that Rentfree are on the path to success for the next game.
Yeah, and if we're talking about power players, the Favelas last week up against what a lot of people would consider to be a stronger opponent than X-Guidance Gaming in Oblation. The man to watch out for is definitely Kino. Kino, people call him the World Eater of CL right now, a 1.48 rating, going 26-14 across 24 rounds, a massive 6-1 on entry playing Ash, and on the defense playing Smoke, 87% cost. Being able to maintain a cost like that over 24 rounds is super impressive. And of course, you know, Jolton down there as well, 7-3 on entry, same cost, same KD, 26-14. You know, Favelas, just the trio of Kino, Jolton, Diaz, Lucas, I mean, I've said it before, that alone is scary to go up against.
Yeah, but we wanted to make sure that it was a pretty good comparison between RF and Favelas in this case, because both Kino and Thomas are Smoke players. The only main difference is just the one that they played more frequently last week on attack. So Thomas going with the Sledge role. Prophecy was the one who was playing, I guess, more of an entry role. It was primarily Zofia on his end. So I don't know if you want to necessarily say Thomas was filling in for that, because it's not the op that's typically suited to it. But that's exactly what Kino was doing by playing the Ash. So we think it's a pretty darn good comparison. Those are our 2 players to watch out for. It's almost like we're doing like one of those like football or basketball like keys to the game kind of thing. It's like, hey, here's this guy that we have to pay attention to for the majority of this match. We should do that more. I like that idea.
Yeah, those 2 guys are definitely gunners, and I think something else interesting is that Rentfree, you know, across Across 9 of their attacking rounds on both maps combined, they had a whole 4 plants. They have nearly a 50% plant rate. Favelas, significantly less objective focused, especially on a map like Clubhouse. They, across 13 attacks, only had 2 plants. Only 2. That is less than a sixth of their rounds where they actually played objective instead of just fragging out of their minds. But at the same token, in 10 defenses, not a single plant came against them. So they might not be too great at getting the bomb down, but of course they might not need to because they can get the frags, but they're certainly great at locking out the site as well.
And we'll see how that transpires as we head to Clubhouse for map number 1. We're just about ready to get started. Again, this is for almost all the marbles. There's one more match after this that determines who goes into the eye of the storm against Tempo. In just a couple of weeks, either Rentfree or Favelas will be going up against Beast Coast in just a couple of weeks' time. First battleground of the night. Let's go ahead and get underway.
That would actually be really cool if the final match was Favelas versus Beast Coast. And it was like an underdog story, like both of the teams were underdogs.
That would be really dope.
Who would be the underdog in that game?
Oh boy, Favelas and Beast Coast.
Maybe
my heart still kind of says Beast Coast because that's more of a Cinderella story based on where they placed in stage 1. If they're in 7th place and Favelas were 3 to 4 spots above them, then BC are still riding a crazy wave of momentum that I don't know if anyone really saw coming.
They've certainly exceeded people's expectations. Of course, Beast Coast, though, arguably having more difficult opponents. Depending on how this game goes. But the first ban will be Capital getting taken off the board. Capital being used a lot by both teams in the Favelas Ablation game, so it makes sense that Rentfree want to take that out. Capital was an integral part in taking Rafters control, in flushing that player out behind Generator too. I wouldn't be surprised if this is Thatcher, and there we go. So 2 very, very standard attacker bans.
We also were seeing a lot of the previous game of Capital being run with hard breach charges, almost like an alternative to running a dedicated hard breach in a couple scenarios. I don't know if that's Ape running a more unorthodox strategy just to kind of throw Beast Coast off their game a little bit, but I'm just like, oh, Cap getting banned is so infrequent these days, it has to be because of his hard breach potential. So good to see him get removed. Well, my off the board, no surprises there. That's just becoming pretty standard. It means you're locking in your Jaeger player, but you can't play the double utility burn meta. Probably means you just have a whole bunch of shields to clear. And Cade. Yep, everything here makes sense. It's just rare to see Capital banned in the current stage the meta is at. That's kind of something you'd see at like the beginning of the year or maybe into 2019, but these days that is definitely less common.
Yeah, he's a little bit less common on other maps. I'd say Clubhouse, he's still a bit of a staple ban, but of course not as common as he used to be. Church will be the first defense here for Rentfree. Of course, in their last game, they had a pretty damn successful defensive win rate, 87.5% of rounds. They won 7 out of their 8. So we'll see if they're able to keep up the same success on Clubhouse against a team with, surprisingly, a positive attacking win ratio. Aces will be 6th picked off of onto Hibana. Of course, Ace not really being the main hard breacher when it comes to downstairs. A lot of this site is a lot more hatch focused, and thus Ace isn't going to be, as useful as he would be on a more wall focused site like Hatch.
Need to locate and defuse as many bombs
I'm seeing Thatcher get taken off the board as well. It's just another, I guess, nugget of proof that North America just cannot stand having that operator in their lineup at any moment in time. It's the single most banned operator ever through the course of North American Challenger League on both regions. It's not just exclusive to the United States. So at this point, I'm pretty sure Favelas and Rentfree kind of knew to expect that. You need to find plenty of different angles to be able to get onto site that don't incorporate the use of those EMPs. And at this point, because it gets banned so much, it's something you should be able to adequately prep for.
Something else very interesting is if you look at Rentfree's defending lineup, Vigil, Mute, Mozzie.
5 seconds remaining.
That is a meta that is long past, and that I always.
Is this a return to form? Are we going back?
This might be a return. We might be going back in time a little bit, as Sweater is even dedicating Banshees upstairs too. There is so much emphasis on this top floor now, almost emulating the SSG-esque drone denial, burn away time rather than utility style of roam play on Clubhouse. So I'm really interested to see how Rentfree kind of adapted it to suit their own needs. It looks like the Vigil will actually be sitting down on site, maybe doing an impact trick and, tricking the attackers into thinking he's upstairs because, that's normally what you think that the Vigil is going to be doing. But already, the Rentfree members starting to peel off, and Filthy the Mute being the only player left upstairs.
Wonder if it's going to have that much of an impact, as it does look as though Jacuzzi will be the spot that the Favelas want to take out first. The mute's been droned out, and Filthy's either going to move back down the stairs immediately or just try to waste more time. We'll get double droned again, but at least for the moment, Rentfree are pretty comfortable just keeping him in that position and maybe seeing if he can't waste more time. He has put his jammers down at the very least, but Jacuzzi wall will still be opened up in spite of that as it gets shot at the drone hole, and Sweater, another one of those Rentfree members, already deciding to peel back.
Yeah, so the drones coming out from the Favelas will confirm, at least for now, that there is no one directly upstairs. You've only got Filthy kind of huddling around the main stairs, but as he's droned up, he will contest the wall and then fall back. He knows that the attackers are not far behind that drone, and indeed, they're not. Abinai with the first kill of this series. He does take a lot of heat for it, but still, Filthy gone and half the round left. That's a C4 off the board. Pretty decent roam clear so far from Rentfree, despite just the sheer amount of utility dedicated upstairs.
Just a matter of wasting time for Rentfree at the moment. Jolton seeing if he can't. I don't know if he's looking for an angle or if he's just kind of waiting to hear something coming from his left. But the drone game for Favelas is still rather strong, and Rentfree are just going to sit not idly by, but they'll try to just huddle up on the site as close as they can, while main presence has already been ascertained by the Favelas. And Sweater, if you can't waste more time on the hatch in bar, try to give it a second, but again, it's almost like Rentfree are just trying to, they're applying a little bit of pressure, not getting super aggressive, and then as soon as they have an opportunity to do something, they'll just keep on peeling back and wait for the Favelas to come to them. They're really not choosing to get aggro. It's almost like they're being forced into that position. Prophecy has a little bit more on the, on the main double. Oh, whips a nitro, can't get anything back out of it. Kino will find Sweater finally, so there takes your moto control out of the way, but Prophecy finds one on the wide swing, can't find the Ash, and Kino's got all main control by himself.
Kino was down though. He'll be picked up as the plant is being completed by Carnage B, but the swing from Tomas will deny it, a double kill for him, but quick refrag is there from Jolt and the Favelas with round number 1, and a lot of that was just due to how much was dedicated on the roam. They only delayed half the round, and then they left the church wall soft.
Looking back into this one, I'm pretty sure I might be on a bit of a slight delay, having a bit of an audio issue on my side, but we'll go ahead and get that cleared up. For the moment, everything seems to be hunky-dory. I liked how the Favelas really tried to force pressure in, and I'm a little concerned about how Rentfree opted to go for that defense. They took a lot of time upstairs, moved everyone up, and then moved everyone back down again. I almost thought it was a joke for a second. I'm like, wait, are we going to have like 4 members of RF just kind of run out of one side of the map and maybe go for a peek or two and then rush back in? I was a little confused about why they put everything that they put upstairs and then just nothing else happened after that.
Defenders,
Yeah, they
protect
fell
your
back
bombs from being
super
defused by
early.
attackers.
They hadn't even taken an engagement yet, and already Mozzie and Malusi dipped. You had a Banshee up there, you had most of the jammers up there, you had most of the pests up there, you even lost a body up there for a minute and a half. Then Rentfree is able to walk down main for free, establish that control, the moto hatch opens, Sweater wasn't able to deny it at all, and then the church wall is soft, so Ash is free to just open it, and then, you take church control. It's a free plant spot behind Black Box. Thomas did his best, he got a swing, but he was quickly refragged. The 1v3 like that with just so many angles open, that's all you can really expect from him. Now Rentfree gonna swap on the cash, see if they can make better work of it. They are now gonna be dropping the mute Mozzie in favor for the more standard, smoke shield, Jaeger, Maestro, and just the Valve for extra intel that both of these teams run quite a decent amount.
I wouldn't mind seeing us kind of travel back in time a little bit to simpler times. That would be dope if we wanted to stick with Mute Mozzie, but Sweater...
Ooh. No, there's no one over there.
Nah, there's no one there. Oh, man. If only for a second, you're really hoping that, a really dirty rat play like that can find success, but... Like I was saying, if we do kind of go back to the way the game used to be played, like back around invitational time, like February or March, it would be interesting to see how it stacks up with the way that things have currently shifted from a balancing perspective. I don't know if it would find all that much success, but I guess we wouldn't really be able to distinguish it unless Rentfree keep bringing that operator lineup and see if it's more about trying to waste time on a roam than it is trying to area deny and waste time for as much time as you can.
I feel like it was a more aggressive meta back then too. Like more aggressive in the sense that fights were taken more intermittently throughout the round, rather than everyone kind of sat down on site. And the only picks that are given away early in the round is usually if a roamer gets a little bit too aggressive, if someone in sight peeks a wayward angle that they probably shouldn't have. But there's a bit of a gym roam so far from Rentfree. Filthy playing in Master as the Jaeger and Sweater earlier getting droned out on main stairs will fall back downstairs. So as the attackers trying to push through the jacuzzi wall and do this clear, they are a little bit hesitant about it. Another drone coming in to confirm that there is no one in gym so that Kino can walk through the wall and start pressuring into Master. Of course, Sweater could come up at any time, but as he's pressured from gym, Filthy takes a lot of damage from Kino, nearly able to finish off the Ash, but instead they'll just trade blows, and instead on the repeat, he will fall, and Jim falls into the control of the attack.
Definitely a good forward vantage point to take over for the Favelas, and already Filthy, he's got 1 assist to his name, but hasn't been able to make much impact past that, and we'll see if he can't try to resurrect that for future rounds. Thomas has full Raptors control. It doesn't seem like Favelas want to push from that side at all. They can go for it late, but for the moment it seems like it's coming from construction, and then later coming from the CCTV wall, as opposed to doing too much pressure from garage and rafters. Abinai looking for an angle for the moment. Jolton can keep on the pressure from the opposite side, and Abinai grabs Prophecy, so now it turns into a 3 versus 5 again. We were just in this position a couple of seconds ago on the first round, and 3 versus 4. We're having deja vu already. Kill from below. His Sweater still opts to stick on the first floor. He went for the spawn peek out strip earlier, finds one through the hatch, and now it's 3 versus 3. Still plenty of time for Rentfree to keep this defense under control.
He might have also gotten some of those Hibana pellets off the wall to make a hole a little bit more scuffed. Jolton will fall to drip on the site too after finding that pick on the breach, but no, DS Lucas loses the fight on the server window. You gotta win those, and Carnage just doesn't look. He'll finally pick up the kill, but it'll be swiftly refragged by Sweater. Rentfree with a pretty damn aggressive sight hold, but it works nonetheless. That play from downstairs by Sweater working oh so well, especially with Drip just felling the only player outside the breach. They could just turn their guns in the exact same direction and hold off that entire push.
Yeah, Sweater was everywhere else on the map that Favelas didn't need him to be. He wasn't droned very effectively. He was trying to acquire intel from different parts of the map that the Favelas just really weren't concerning themselves with. They also didn't push rafters all that heavily. They allowed the Maestro to stick upstairs and even rotate through the hole back to the bomb chassis and grab kills on server window, basically about as free as he wanted to. It was pretty darn close. Even if Sweater hadn't been on a deep roam, it was probably still a tightly contested round, but I think that was more of a difference maker than maybe we're giving it credit for.
Attackers need to locate and defuse bombs.
Well, we'll be swapping back to Church. So, Cash working well, and of course they'll be now forced off it. So we'll see if Rentfree are able to clear this roam as effectively as they did last round, as Rentfree seemingly are going to be going for the exact same setup. Mute, Mozzie, Vigil with the Malusi helping upstairs with her Banshees. Again, I have to question how quickly they fell off of it. They left a hell of a lot of utility upstairs. I wonder if maybe this time Rentfree's adjustment will be to maybe stay up there longer. Of course, the Favelas are a very aggressive team, are a very frag-centric team, so maybe that's why they fell off a little bit early. They didn't want to lose too many bodies upstairs needlessly. But still, even if the strat is to peel away early, why would you dedicate all of that upstairs and leave the site so exposed?
I mean, to me, if you're going to go for an SSG style roam, we will keep on calling that until there's a different term for it, because at the moment, that's just kind of what everyone knows it as. But if you're going to go for something as hardcore as that, you got to be more dedicated to it. I almost felt like they said, well, let's see if this is worthwhile, and then as time went on, just slowly more and more decided it's not something they wanted to expend the manpower on, and so fell back. So if it's something they go for again, it doesn't appear to be, because the lineup only has Drip sticking on the Vigil. Mute Mozzie are still deep upstairs. Never mind. This is actually looking a lot more similar than the last round. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so all 3 players actually staying upstairs as the wall falls. Maybe we'll actually get some engagements up here as the Favelas will open up the gym wall and use some of the hard breach on that. Switter will reap inside of Jim, and he'll take the engagement against the player who just walked through the breach. I believe there's the Zofia, but no, from downstairs through the billiards wall and through the hatch, Sweater will go down. So maybe this is what Rentfree were afraid of, those excellent pinches that the Favelas are known for, and already a roamer off the board with barely a minute 10 off the round. And you can see Prophecy and Filthy Flexen now just kind of scrambling around the upstairs, trying to see if they have a safe avenue back to site so they don't lose their lives as needlessly as Sweater did.
Every single time we've had one of these rounds, it's been Favelas with the opening pick, and it's gone to a 3 versus 5, but finally Thomas will equalize way earlier than that, as he'll be the one to grab DS Lucas. Losing the sledge, and you're trying to attack a church bomb site? That's not the op you want to lose this early in the round. Kino has obtained all of main stairs control, but he doesn't have the long angle secured just yet, as he does have an operator there with him. He's got Carnage on the Hibana trying to see if they can't open up church, but they've left Filthy, again, all alone upstairs. He has the potential to drop through 1, if if not 2 hatches to come all the way back down. I don't know if Favelas are aware of his position for the moment, but he's got all the time in the world to make a rotation back down if Favelas can't find kills. But Filthy, he'll just grab 2, exactly what we were talking about. He'll drop through the hatch, find 2, and all of a sudden, Rentfree in the driver's seat.
Rentfree were able to get the kitchen hatch open, but it might be a sore solace as they're in the disadvantage. Abonai gets 1, but he's refragged by Prophecy, peeking a slim angle through the barrels by Black Box, and it's all Kino in 1v3. If there's anyone who's going to do it, anyone who's known for doing it, it's him. But Filthy, still running amok upstairs, will just take control of the hatch and get an easy death from above on the last attacker. Filthy with a massive 3k as the Favelas sort of cleared the roam, but for some reason decided they were just going to ignore Filthy.
I mean, you can say they cleared the roam, but at the end of the day, the thing that killed them was not clearing the roam. And that's happened on 2 rounds so far. They didn't know where Sweater was, and he comes back in the late round and makes the difference. And it's the exact same thing with Filthy, but Filthy was an entire floor above where Sweater was. Sweater opted to just stick on the first floor. He was around Bar Stock. He was around Strip Club. Filthy was upstairs. He had construction. He was in Laundry, and then drops through construction hatch down and grabs 2 kills on the SMG. If Favelas had the intel, they had it late enough that Filthy was able to position himself appropriately, grab the kills, and then move on, and then he does get the one at the very end, but by that point it was a 4v2 with about 30 seconds left, and the damage had already been done. Well played by Rentfree. It's just a bad drone job from Favelas, and hopefully with 2 rounds that have gone that way, they can figure out where their deficiency is and make up for it. It's still very early on.
Maybe not even bad drone work, but just heavily impeded drone work too, because of all the anti-drone utility that was left upstairs by Rentfree. But now, of course, they will be staying where they were previously roaming in Master and Gym. It'll be the last site in the rotation after they've really only dropped Church that one time. Favelas, though, if they win this attack on the Tertiary, they will have essentially met their quota for a Clubhouse attack. And of course, we're going to have Rentfree holding over in Cash. This is the normal thing to do. They'll have Thomas, it looks like, playing inside Cash itself. They've got someone helping from Red Stairs. Of course, you've got Drone Denial in the Mute, maybe even Drip helping from construction using those holes in the construction wall. The crossfire and the attack onto Cash will start to mount itself in Garage.
Trying to see if he can't take the pressure off server to start with, and it's been aggressive from Favelas' attacks so far in terms of getting inside the building. It's just what they do afterwards that makes more of a difference. There goes Sweater. Was he situated? He was just outside Secret, was he not? At like the very bottom red? Yeah, he had no chance to figure out where the Ash was coming from. I don't even know if he was going for that kill or not. Nonetheless, say goodbye to your Jaeger. As long as he has the ADSs up, he didn't have one in his pocket, he's done his job. But Sweater is, I believe in his very first Challenger League game, broke the 20 kill mark on Oregon back at the very beginning of Stage 1. So his fragging power is definitely renowned, and to lose that early on is definitely a shocker.
I mean, a player with fragging power like that, you know, if you're going to lose it to anyone, right? It's going to be Kino. Kino currently 4-2 in 4 rounds. He's on the entry roll, and he will get another one. He has effectively just cleared Cash by himself, but as I say that, Filthy will retake the position, not looking to give up this pivotal position just yet. He'll swing in and he'll catch Kino, a great flick there on the SMG-11. Diaz Lucas falls to Drip as well, but the ace not looking, nearly gets caught by the side, but is able to find the frag anyway. Jolt and Carnage being Abonai, the last 3 attackers against the 2 of Rentfree. Drip downstairs, Prophecy in the bathroom as the Maestro in another power position with the Alda. The Favelas still, they have a whole minute 20 left and a man advantage to try and make this push happen.
Prophecy doesn't want to leave himself trapped in bathroom, but he'll just try to apply some spray pressure and make sure no one comes from that side. We can impact almost to make sure, hey, don't come for me. I'm not here. Don't worry about it. One coming out top main at the same time. Frag Grenade's gonna land perfectly, and Jolton knocks out Drip. And again, Prophecy left alone by himself. The Alda will work its magic, but Carnage will refrag from the window on the bomb chassis. Favelas had everything scouted perfectly, flush Maestro out of showers, and that's basically all she wrote.
And the way that round happened is, you know, like every round prior, Favelas with a 100% opening duel win rate. Kino walks over, kills Sweater. Okay. Malusi then, instead of playing it passive, Thomas decides to peek the doorway, and Kino gets the kill. Yes, it was a pretty good retake from Filthy, but he gets traded out. And then Drip gets caught challenging the breach, and I guess feels like he can't run away from the nade, so he just kind of stands on it and gives himself up. I don't know. That was a little bit weird from Drip, and then from there 1v3 from Prophecy. He's trying to escape bathroom, but of course gets caught in the crossfire. So a brilliant entry, snowballing into a brilliant execution on site. You know, the Favelas, they never get distracted by frags. They were still able to do what they needed to do, clearing over there. And while Kino was working his magic, you know, the jacuzzi wall was falling for that crossfire. Favelas just collapsed on the site perfectly. Now Rentfree going back to another all reliable. They'll go on Cash, where they started their 2-round streak.
Favelas should be confident heading into this map. It's one that they picked. It's one that they've got a very good record on in CL competition over the past couple of weeks, both in Stage 1 and in Stage 2. So them going to it obviously isn't a surprise, but the aggression that they're showing on attack thus far does speak to their confidence. They have played this map often enough. They've beaten good teams on it often enough. They beat Ablation on this map twice. And the fact that they're opting to go for it again against a Rent-Free squad that still has a lot of the pieces from where they were in Stage 1, it's something that I think definitely, I guess, paints a picture about how much they feel they'll be able to take this one off the board and then head straight to Rent-Free's pick, which is Consulate immediately afterwards. I think Sweater, I don't believe he threw a cam. He's just going for a very, very quick peek, and he's wise to it, is the sledge. He'll opt not to push up too hard, and he'll just sit back and do more of the drone game, and that'll allow Kino to force his way back in, because someone's got to get the intel, and it's certainly not going to be the one who's got his gut up looking for the frags.
So far, this back and forth on Clubhouse does support Favela's massive 54% win rate on their attack, despite the heavily defender-sided maps they previously played against Ablation. Now Rentfree going for the C4 from below. You can see Sweater just on secret, waiting for the eventual drone and the eventual push. Of course, he can fall back downstairs, go into the basement, and chill until push actually comes to shove, and the attackers are so distracted with their execute, he can go for the C4 from below. Filthy gonna get droned out, pre-firing over towards Jacuzzi, so he can make his way back down main stairs. Now there's 2 players off site. 3 left for Rentfree to try and just hold the site out a little bit longer, but the Favelas taking a pretty decent amount of time clearing by Jim. They are very skittish about moving in. They know how aggressive that Rentfree have been playing these roams so far, and they really don't want to get caught off guard by anything.
Filthy all by himself, Sweater all by himself. More pressure can be applied to site right now, but Favelas obviously want to worry about the roams before they do anything too risky on site, even going for plant in this instance. Seeing if they can't maybe try to impact over construction wall, but again, it's a matter of where these 2 guys are going to sit. Just the fact they're not even in position to go for frags at the moment, but just them being alive sends a message. Hey, you haven't dealt with this problem yet. We can lurk way away from the site and still go for a pick when it's most inopportune, and maybe even stop a plant from going down, and that's why it's such a heavy focus for teams to go for it first.
Only a minute left. No deaths for either side, despite the roam from Rentfree. So I wonder if we're gonna have a similar situation to, what was it, round 3, I believe, where not clearing a roam really bit Favelas in the back, but Prophecy goes down to Jolton inside of construction. So there's the opening frag we were looking for, and Favelas will continue their perfect opening streak. Breach open, Sweater a little bit exposed. If he walks too far into the red doorway, he might die, but he wins that fight against Avenite. What a shot there from Sweater, evening up the man count for his team, and there's no one left on the breach to try and get that crossfire, so the Rentfree can just stare again at construction and wait. There's no one to apply that back pressure with only 25 seconds left, and Filthy coming up for yet again another flank. There's no Nomad, there's no Claymore, so he can do whatever he wants unless there's a flank drone, which I believe there was. Diaz Lucas will shut that flank down, and from the breach, there's Carnage retaking the position and cutting off that rotate. 4 versus 2, make it 1 versus 4. It's all to the last player inside of Garage. Thomas will miss some crucial shots, can't find the planter. Jolton's starting to get it down. They know exactly where he is, and Carnage B retaking the breach hole will finish off the round. Favelas with round 5, and they will retake their lead.
Carnage with 3 massive kills through the ace hole. He did everything. I mean, I was trying to make an ace in the hole joke, then thought about it, and then it just immediately fell by the wayside as my brain couldn't catch up. Good job from Carnage for keeping up the pressure from CC Wall. Filthy's roam had all the potential in the world to work wonders for Rentfree, but it gets shut down from across from construction doorway at the exact moment Filthy didn't expect him to be there. And Favelas, if they're not trying to drone every inch of the map and try to compensate for where one of these roamers is hiding deep at any particular moment, then at the very least they know to, make the impact. In this case, it was Habana who opens up construction wall, and then just sit, hold an angle, and wait for the roam to come to them, which is exactly what Filthy did. It was pretty telegraphed, even if he didn't understand it, and it's more a matter of how Favelas are choosing to mix things up a little bit.
You also see sometimes when that the play I really like from that round was Carnage B moving to the breach. A lot of times when you see players doing the construction or teams doing a construction push, if that one breach player dies, they don't make the commitment to rotate someone else over. They just keep trying to hammer the construction push and use, manpower to their advantage. But Carnage B making the heads-up play, retaking over by breach after Abinai lost his fight to a fantastic shot and fantastic reaction by Sweater. Carnage B was the linchpin in that round. He caught Sweater off guard, able to kill the player stuck inside of Garage with really no hope left in that round. So now Favelas in the lead on their Clubhouse attack. 3-2. And now they get to attack Church, which is not a perfect bomb site for Rentfree. In fact, they don't have any perfect bomb sites at all, because now they're 1-1 on Cash. They're already 1-1 on Church. So this is kind of their last chance to, if this game goes to OT, this is kind of Rentfree's last chance to prove to us that they have a reliable site that they can defend.
Yeah, it's a much bigger deal to have a 3-3 half or a 4-2-1. Favelas are pretty well known in NACL or USCL for being able to absolutely lock out this map on defense when it comes down to it. Ablation put on a lot of pressure at the very, very end of stage 1, but then at the beginning of stage 2 last week, their defense really did kind of fall off, and Favelas were able to take basically complete control. So Rentfree, the pressure needs to be mounting right now because they aren't going to be given all that much leeway when they move on to their attacking half to try the exact same thing. The other thing that's also interesting of note is that it's a 1-1 bomb site. They had the option of heading back to Gym if they wanted to go for it, because, actually, no, never mind. They wouldn't have done that because they've lost it previously. It's more a matter of Rentfree just trying to weigh their options, figure out which battleground they want the Favelas to come to them on, and right now, this is where almost all the marbles of this map seem to hang.
And they are going to switch up their strategy on Church, too. The 2 times they defended it so far, it was nearly an SSG-esque heavy utility commitment upstairs roam with Vigil, Mozzie, Mute, Malusi, all that good stuff. And Rentfree are opting for a much more turtle, much more standard style of defense. Of course, you've got Jaeger, Pine, Generator, probably supported by Malusi's. You've got Malusi actually playing in Church. Smoke Eye not far behind. Sweater maybe playing for the impact trick below. Yep, he's playing for the impact trick below the kitchen hatch along with the C4 from Thomas. And as the blue push starts to come down, he's already made his way down the stairs. What Abinai? What an aggressive play, and amazing to catch Filthy off guard like that. And already, you didn't have to dedicate any utility to that push. That's a free pick behind Generator.
Favelas still, through 6 rounds, a 100% opening pick rate, but Rentfree are doing a good job of answering back in kind. Sweater will knock out Abinai, so your Generator presence has been pulled off, and now the Smoke is going to have to get out of dirt and try to see if he can't help on Generator. Sweater's all alone trying to make sure that Blue doesn't fall completely under Favelas' control. Prophecy finds the quick flick, but at the last second will get his head taken off, and Thomas will do the same thing. We keep going back and forth on kills. The plant is going down right behind Black Box, and Carnage will just go right in and try to escape. Nope. He'll stick on the Black Box and wait for Rentfree to make their push in. Sweater, a 1-speed. He doesn't know that there's one prone in Moto directly to his right, and Jolton and Tino will grab the final 2 frags, and Favelas are 4-2 on a Clubhouse attack. Rentfree are on the back foot and looking pretty darn scared.
Wow, coming off a blue clear and a main stairs push through the wall, Rentfree, after Malusi and the Jaeger died, had 0 presence in Church. They had 0 presence and 0 influence. There was absolutely nothing they could do to deny the plant. As they tried to retake in, they were just cut off by the angles held by Favelas, and that was a pretty damn good Church attack from them. 4-2 half on your Clubhouse attack. A map that right now, if we go to, I know Liquipedia has like the stats for each side on the map. It is currently in stage 2. Clubhouse actually has, it's a little bit more even. It's only a 54.5% defensive win rate, but still 4-2. At that point, Rentfree were fighting for the 3-3. Dropping that round may have just given Favelas the half with how well they have Clubhouse on lock.
Well, it gave him the half just by nature of the score, and I'm not even necessarily considering this to be a Favelas win. Even though there's still 3 rounds left before we decide that, my confidence in them being able to pull it off doesn't even come from the fact that Clubhouse has been historically defender-sided. It's a matter of how they've been able to perform here previously, and shutting out a team like Rentfree, who had a really, really good game against Guidance last week, are now in a position that they have to do a lot more reevaluating, and this could be very well over in 3 rounds flat if Favelas are able to have a completely locked down 3-site rotation rotation and don't even have to worry about going back and replaying a bomb site. So they should be sitting pretty, but you don't want to let a team like Rentfree off the hook. Favelas need to apply pressure and don't let their foot off the gas.
Something that I'm definitely concerned about right now for Rentfree is just that, is the ability to force the Favelas' foot off the gas. Because the Favelas, through 6 rounds on the attack, have a perfect opening kill win rate. Like, that's astounding.
It's pretty damn impressive.
Not only is it 6 rounds in a row, which is very rare, but it's 6 rounds in a row on the attack. You know, the side where you have to come to them. You have to challenge their angles. And a lot of those kills was the Favelas just catching Rentfree on a rotate, or catching them off guard, or having a really good pinch. And I don't know, the Favelas just look like Clubhouse is one of their best maps right now. They look really well versed on it.
And if we want to go back to that head-to-head matchup that we mentioned at the very beginning of this one, Thomas so far sitting at 5 and 6, playing on mostly that support role, and Kino was playing the Ashe just like he always does, and currently sits with a 2.0 KD through 6 rounds, and he'll go right back on the smoke roll. We talked about both of them being really good smoke players, and they had wins last week, so there's clearly something to the way in which their area denial strategies were assisting their team in the time waste game. So good job to Kino in that respect, and Thomas right now needs to show up big because he wasn't able to do anything nearly as substantial as Kino on his defensive half.
So we'll see how Rentfree decide to take this. They're going for that kitchen control because, of course, they do have the sledge and they've got the buck. So they've got all the soft destruction they need to make that back arsenal, you know, position pretty much unplayable. Ab and I are going to be playing the generator position that we all know and love that Jaegers will usually take. Has not been flushed out just yet. And I mean, there's only a minute left in this round and there have been no engagements. So far, Favela's playing really passively, not getting too over-aggressive, which I definitely like from a team that is known for their aggression. So Rentfree, obviously, currently needing to go to them. Moto hatch is open. Kitchen hatch isn't open, they just opened the floor, curiously enough, so they won't actually be able to assault through kitchen. But as the church wall gets open, there's the prone holes. There's a shield for Carnage P to play behind, though. And so, I mean, with the shield and the prone holes, that might be a position that the attackers might have a little bit more difficulty flushing out.
At least for the moment, I think Abonite now understands there. Yep, here comes the oil pit pressure. Can he win the fight? He flicks right back down. I was waiting for this kill to come out. Also waiting for this one on Carnage, but no, Moto will get flushed as Kino and Diaz Lucas will ensure the diffuser gets down. Sweater doesn't go for the push immediately. He'll try to go for one in Generator, and he'll win that fight, but at the end of the day, Favelas, their turtle strategy on Church, something we saw several times against Deflation last week, pays dividends here. They don't need to get super aggressive if they just wait for Rentfree to come to them. And already 5-2.
Wow. Now, not only did they previously, before this round, only need one perfect site rotation to win the game, they now have a whole perfect site rotation's worth of buffer between the two teams' scores. 5-2 is an immense advantage, especially on your defense. They'll now move to cash, and a lot of that round I just have to attribute to the fact that the attackers took so damn long, weren't successful taking blue, didn't clear the shield off of that church wall, so Carnage knew, you know, with blue on lock, he only needed to stare in one direction, and then, you know, in a heads-up gunfight like that against the Alda at that range, probably not going to win. And of course, the Legion getting a 2K was just icing on the cake. So we'll see if Rentfree are able to defend cash with as much prowess as they were the basement site. Of course, Kino now on the Valkyrie that we've seen him play. A lot of times Kino will play smoke on the basement. He'll swap up Valkyrie for up top. And if you remember the Oblation game, Kino on Valkyrie was a sight to behold.
Actually, you're right. That was
that was scary.
Shall we say, one of the deeper roams I think we've seen on Clubhouse in recent weeks, and it's more that you have somebody with I mean, it's not even the gun. It's the nitro cell from below that can dispel any chance for Rentfree to get a plant down in default or otherwise, anywhere by green box. If Kino had very, very good foresight in understanding where he needed to be positioned down below, and that's exactly what he'll go for again. At least that's what it seems like. And one thing to point out is that Thomas is now swapped off the sledge in favor of the buck, and he needs to make some sort of impact if he can. It's obviously, you know, a difference in site preference because you're not needing nearly as much soft destruction if you're going for a kitchen take, and in this case, we're back upstairs, and we'll try to see if he can't go for a roll switch up and try to do something else on his attacking side.
Yeah, of course, when it comes to the buck, sure, you lose nades on the sledge, but you do still have nades on the Maverick, and when it comes to soft destruction on this site, it's really just going to be bottom up from stock into cash. Now, for some reason, Ab and I thought it was a good idea to try and push down the garage stairs, so, you know, he'll get caught out as... I don't really know what the idea was there, but he'll be the first death. So, finally, we have broken the streak, and Favelas, after 7 rounds, will finally lose an opening duel.
I wonder if that's going to be enough for RF to try to claw their way back at least somewhat. And it's not as though one opening pick stops all of the bleeding, because right now they are bleeding pretty profusely, but not all is lost, as there's still plenty of rounds of leeway. They just can't allow the Favelas to continue this momentous streak, and it's more a matter of if Kino is able to equalize quickly. Nope, here we go. Rentfree finally beginning to wake up a little bit as Prophecy grabs Jolton, so you lose a heavy roamer and a really good gun, and now you lose your primary area denial, and now you lose Carnage, who's playing the mute at the very top of rafters, and now Favelas, Kino's downstairs, can still try to deny, but now we can get swarmed by Rentfree, not unless he hits his shots like that.
Kino with 1 frag, he'll rotate back up red to join his teammate in sight, so unfortunately he won't be able to play for the C4 from below, but there still is an angle that he's currently opening up with his deagle to vault it over that server stack and still hit default plant spot. 2 versus 4 is the man count right now, and Favelas working from the wrong side of it. Kino also low HP and a lot of control for Rentfree. They have garage, they have the main breach open, and as Kino falls, it's all left to DS Lucas. 6 and 5 right now, and Malusi, he's got a pretty good gun, but he's got no denial in his pocket. Should Drip try to get this plant down, there's really not a lot DS Lucas is going to be able to do about it. Through the breach, the attack comes. He'll light up Drip, but take a lot of damage himself, and he can't even win the fight against Thomas down red, and Rentfree will take round 8, finally stopping the streak that Favelas have put together.
Whew. So, if you can... I mean, the primary streak wasn't even Favelas round count. It's that opening death count already. It's something that they can say, oh, well, we didn't lose somebody in the first minute, 2 minutes. In fact, we were the ones to get the opening pick. So it is a bit of a momentum swing, and it also just kept on going downhill from there. It was a 5v4, then a 5v3, then a 5v2, and by that point, it's already kind of in the bag, and Rentfree are able to take all the control that they need up rafters, bottom red, and at the end of the day, Malusi can't hit her shots at the top of red, so it turns into a great win for Rentfree. Again, a team that has as much success as they did through stage 1, going all the way to the finals game against the Last Dance to determine the number 1 and number 2 seeds heading into stage 2, and now all of a sudden, it's a little bit of a slow start. But even through their first game to now, a lot of what they're doing seems like it's staying relatively consistent. I'm not necessarily too worried. It's more that I understand what Favelas can do on Clubhouse in general that makes me a little bit concerned.
Well, I thought this game was going to be a lot more back and forth, but the Favelas, I mean, they strung 3 straight attack wins, and then their first defense. And yes, Rentfree have taken cash. That is only 1 round. They're going to need 2 more to stop Favelas' momentum. And, you know, Favelas, I don't know if 1 round is enough to, you know, get him down in the dumps and switch that momentum around. So we'll see how it works out. They're going to be defending Jin now to swap to the tertiary. And the big adjustment, Goyo and Mira. 2 operators that if you don't have the necessary tools for can become quite the headache, especially when you've got them so separated. Goyo devoting a lot of his utility over towards that all-important cash hold. You can see the way and how aggressive those shields are being set up. And of course, Mira setting up 1 mirror window on the bathroom and the other, I don't know, wherever she put it. I don't see where she put it. It's somewhere over there.
We'll figure it out at some point as soon as the observer lets us know where it's happening. One thing that Rentfree should have already expected, though, was this. They're heading to gym and not playing CCTV cash again for a 2nd time in a row. If they lose it, Favelas are very known for being fluid on their Clubhouse defensive sites and trying not to go for the same thing twice in a row if it doesn't work the first time. So RF should definitely already have this scouted out, and Favelas, at least for the moment, their operator selection should have basically said, hey, we're not going back to we won't go back to CC. We're bringing both a Goyo and a Mira in the same felt swoop.
Yeah, the Goyo and the Mira are both operators that Favelas play a lot on this site, as DS Lucas downstairs will take a bit of damage, but Abanai will respond, and Prophecy goes down. So I guess 1 opening pick is all Favelas will let Rentfree have. Does that make sense? I think that's how English works. I think I strung that sentence together properly. But still, C4 is a free kill, and you've lost Zofia. Zofia being a major part of that utility clear and being able to flush out positions such as behind Goya shields and behind the Valk shield that Jolton has already taken. So without that operator, I don't know if Rentfree are going to be able to devote enough utility to those clears.
Drip's gone. Actually, no, wait, I'm trying to...
Oh, wait, no, they have 4 nades. Never mind. They're probably good.
Reading through secondary utility and also wondering if Drip is still going to go for jacuzzi pressure, and I think it got shot out, so you actually can't rotate back through that side now. I believe the C4 did take it down. Yeah. You're absolutely right. I'm waiting for the pressure to come from construction side as well, but Abonai's already locked step, ready for it, and Carnage waiting for the hatch drop at the same time. So right now it's Rentfree. They need to be the ones to make the move because Favelas are entrenched and aren't going to do anything until they start trying to take more control, but this seems to be what they were waiting for. Filthy trying to get through the barbed wire and see if Mira doesn't understand that that's where it's coming from, and Carnage now moves back a little bit and he's just being very, very sneaky. Finally the drop comes in, Diffuser's been down and Favelas have control. Filthy forces his way back up. The fight in Goldvault still won by Mira, and now Sweater all alone in a 1 versus 4, and he's got 30 seconds to drive Diffuser and try to make something happen. Very, very well scouted from Favelas as Mira's position gets 2 kills inside logistics and doesn't have any other chance. 1 more kill for Sweater. Can he make some sort of difference with 15 seconds remaining? He's got to go for more kills, but another one from Carnage. He'll sit alone inside logistics, and he will be the difference maker as Favelas now sit on map point.
Wow. What a 3K for Karn. Unfortunately, the attackers taking way too long to try and clear cache. Didn't have enough jacuzzi pressure as well. They were just... the strat there was, I guess, sneak Filthy up main at the same time as someone drops Logi hatch and try to, like, pinch the Mira, like, kind of catch her off guard, because no one was looking at Filthy. No one had any goddamn idea he was there. And Carnage wins anyway. He kills the guy hatch, gets lit up, but unfortunately, you know, he was too close to the, I don't know what you call that, the box, I guess? I don't know. Whatever that little itty-bitty corner is, that tuck inside of Logi, he was able to get away, and then the Maverick presses the issue and decides he's going to take a re-engagement 2 feet away against the Vector. That's not going to go in your favor, buddy. So Carnage V with a huge 2 kills there, just coming off the C4 from Abonai, and then able to stop Sweater in his clutch attempt. Sweater getting 3. Unfortunately, it was not enough to get all 5. Now Favelas, a 6-3 lead. They now take map point. I mean, yeah, it's their own pick. It is their own pick. But still, coming off a 4-2 attack like that and being just this dominant in all the rounds they've won is a commendable performance from them so far.
Sitting on map point does make you wonder whether Rentfree at this stage is just wondering, well, we'll give it our best shot, but we won't actually really start sweating until we head to Consulate because that's our map selection and we feel way more confident in how we play it. I guess it's a question of, do you just have a mentality of we gave this a best shot, Favelas have proven that they're the best on it, and we can just move on to map 2 and hope that we have a better performance there, or can Rentfree dig deep right now? I think for a team that plays as high as they did, that performed as well as they did despite the logistical problems that they had in stage 1, they definitely have the ability to turn this in their favor, and so far Sweater he's pulling a Kino, just kind of going straight in and seeing if he can't make an impact immediately. He's already got main stairs control. He's got a drone right ahead of him. Is Sweater going to go for some early frags here?
Sweater already down main, and they have literally no clue. Jolton will get caught out, and that is now...
Is he just going to leave?
In 10 rounds, the second opening pick for Rentfree, and yep, Sweater hitting the Apache, the hit and run. So, I guess it's like a ghost came into the site and swept Jolton off his feet, and then poof, no signs of him. He's already gone.
Well, they got main. There's one dead, and it's the mute. It would have been probably better if it was the smoke or the maestro, but someone had to make the rotate.
Yeah, it's a C4.
Had to get caught off guard. Yeah, it's fair. There still is soft destruction as Thomas has not gone back to the sledge so far. He'll opt for the buck for all that top floor kitchen play, and will be rotated into position. He's got Sweater to guard him, but at least for them, I think Sweater, he's going to go right back down main. Can he get another kill sitting in Modo? Not at the moment, as there's no one positioned there, but I'm just like, wait, can Sweater go down main stairs twice, get 2 kills, and then just leave again? That would be the story of this match.
Yeah, so we'll see if he's gonna re-engage down those steps. Maybe, you know, the defense not expecting him to go go back down there, but he'll miss his shots, and now the defense is privy to his position. But there's Thomas using the buck to perfection, and there goes Carnage B. No more Maestro, so you know the pick that we thought, or that we were saying that would be a lot more influential than the Mute will eventually come out just a little bit later in the round. 5 versus 3 for the Favelas to try and work themselves out of this. Still got DS Lucas, and they've still got the all-important Kino with those smoke babes. No C4 on the board, so no explosive plant denial. Once those gas canisters are used up, they've just got to go for the swings. Rentfree currently with all the angles on lock, a smoke babe down main to maybe facilitate a few rotates into church, but Rentfree's push seems to be mainly cornered around the kitchen hatch. Here comes the slow push down secret stairs, though, and you can see the way Prophecy is looking. He's got no clue. Abonai is in the corner. Here's the swing from the Jaeger, and he'll win it out. Thomas, though, with a refrag on Kino. There goes the smoke. Thomas down inside of inside of Dirt, though, but the plant will be completed by Filthy. DS Lucas and Abonai, though, they tech on for one each. A triple kill from Abonai. It's all Sweater in a 1 versus 2. He'll take out one. The last one lines up. Rentfree round 10 because Sweater just gets a 3K walking down main.
Oh my god. They line up perfectly at the end of the hallway. All right, let's try to break this down a little bit more. I was about to talk about how the plant attempt from Rentfree could not have come at a worse moment. It's planted all the way behind the back bomb chassis and armory, and there are 2 crosses, as both of the last remaining members of Favelas can get 2 kills, and there isn't additional coverage for the plant. They had no way of knowing where both of those players were sitting. One was, I believe, inside Generator, or like right behind Generator in blue, and the other one was positioned on the double door that leads directly into church from the hallway. They get 2 frags, and then Sweater has to come down from his position above and go for 2 kills to prevent the diffuser from getting counter-diffused. That is a ridiculous play that on Rentfree's side should not have worked. Sure, Sweater getting a 3K on the round is monumental and really puts the momentum on Rentfree's side right now, but it should not have gone that way at all at the very end of the round.
I don't think Sweater went anywhere other than going main stairs, going back up, then going main stairs again.
I think you're right.
That's all it took to win the round, I guess.
The counter for Sweater is 3 times down main in 1 round. That might be a record.
Hey, 1 for each kill. He was charging up.
Oh,
he was hitting the steps.
3 total kills,
oh, wait,
3 total trips down. Yeah.
So, would like to take a look
5 seconds left.
the Favelas' 5 operators. We currently have
Must locate and defuse the
a
bomb.
bit
The attackers
sort of an
bomb diffuser
SSG
has been
roam,
dropped.
only subbing the Mozzie out for Malusi. A little bit less drone denial, a little bit more, I guess, you know, you can call it player denial or utility denial. So I'm interested to see where the fellas have positioned those operators. As you know, normally with the SSG strat, you got Castle barricades upstairs, Castle and Lucian themselves sitting downstairs, Lucian charging blue mines to stop any sort of rush and avoiding the roam, Mutant Mozzie playing upstairs, playing with their own drone denial as well as reinforcements on any of the main walls, and Vigil sitting downstairs in bar, covering the rotates back for his team with Castle barricades to support. So, it seems they do have the Vigil in bar. They've got the Castle upstairs this time, as well as the Mutant, everyone else downstairs. It's going to be the Legion and the Malusi down there. So it's an interesting deviation these players have.
And deviation just because of the way Favelas have played this site in the past, and they're also breaking their own formula a little bit by going to a site that they lost immediately rather than going right for cash. Drip comes right into Dirt Card and shuts it down immediately with almost no intelligence, just waits for the sound cue. The rest of Rentfree already clustered up inside of Blue, and Generator and Jolton not getting aggro or even trying for a wall bang. Just gonna wait for Rentfree to come through the rotate at the last second, but this is where almost the entirety of the team is now situated inside one site. Abonai will grab Thomas and really starts to tone it back down again with the intel with the calls, and Abonai and Jolton can just sit inside Moto and go for even more picks. Diffuser's been down. 2 members of Rentfree trying to create some more impact, and Prophecy will nab 1 wall bang as Abonai gets down, but there's still 1 more inside Moto. DS Lucas will nab Prophecy. Everything's going the Favelas' way right now. Rentfree have a diffuser to reclaim, but they're both in the same part of the bomb site. 1 versus 4, now it's all up to Filthy. Can he find the angle onto Moto at the very least? Even that doesn't net any kills, and now he has to back away. The only chance for Rentfree to win this round is if he regroups and tries again from a different angle.
So you could see Rentfree's strategy was, hey guys, yo, they're doing the SSG roam. You know what you do there? You rush Dirt, you rush Blue, and you try and make it work. And Favelas said,
No, you're just, you just can't do that. I'm sorry.
Drip was the only guy in Dirt. Dies immediately. And then the rest of Favelas is like, Okay, I guess there's just 4 people in blue now, so we know where to turn our guns. Johnson gets fragged out, but I mean, the way they played that, Rentfree dedicated everything to blue. And once they started getting shut down, they were already too invested. They had the blinders on like they were a horse in a race, and they just did not move. They kept challenging and they kept losing. Filthy will drop the hatch just in a last bait attempt, and Diaz Lucas will finish it off. The Favelas with their own SSGS Chrome to answer back on Rentfree's, and Rentfree's with probably one of the least successful rushes against that strat I've ever seen.
It was really, really close, and then that round happened.
Yeah.
I was about to say, hey, Rentfree have a chance to do something different. They win one round on Church, they have a chance to go for it again, but Favelas with the fake out of the century by just leaving the bomb site basically as free as they wanted it to be and luring Rentfree into a false sense of security, and then blistering kills from almost all angles stop their push through blue. And that's the end of Clubhouse.
Yeah.
I'm not going to lie, for a map pick, this was probably the one I had the most confidence in the team picking it, winning it on in the end. So
yeah, and I mean, it's Favela's map. So, you know, it does make sense that they would win it. They have had a lot of success on this map. But same token, you know, Rentfree did take this against XGG. But even then, I mean, they're in such a short map like that, there's really not a lot to work off of. So I think a lot of this map just came down to the Favelas throwing things at Rentfree that they didn't expect. Favelas just, I mean, you know, fragging out of their minds. Usually that's kind of a lame excuse to just be like, oh yeah, Favelas won because they just shot people more. But if you look at the entries, there's only 2 rounds out of the 11 that Rentfree were actually able to get the opening frag. And something else I noticed is normally, like throughout more than half those rounds, whenever Favelas got the opening pick, it wouldn't be immediately traded. They would be able to snowball it into at least another one before Rentfree were able to find their footing in the round.
A lot, yeah.
Yeah. So the Favelas, I mean, excellent display of why Clubhouse is, I mean, put it simply, why Clubhouse is their pick.
And wait, on that stat, for both times that they weren't the team, or no, sorry, they were the team to get the first pick, were Rentfree also the winners of both those rounds as well? Because I'm 90% certain that the game plan just seemed to be, if we can get the first kill, then we probably win the whole thing because of that snowball effect.
So out of the 4 rounds that Rentfree won, within those 4 rounds they won were the 2 times they got the opening pick. So
well, all right then. That felt like it was more of a one-sided affair just because of the way that Favelas were able to string those rounds together. It's something that you and I have talked about pretty extensively, the idea that North America likes to have streaky games, especially in the US division. It's one team that wins a whole series of rounds, and then the other team, when they switch halves, can also win on the same side. This kind of broke the formula a little bit and still definitely made it seem as though Rentfree just could not find any control. It's 1-1, and it's 2-1. Rentfree had a lead in this map, by the way.
Yeah.
And then from there, it just continues to get worse and worse. And Favelas just said, "There's a reason we wanted to go to club in the first place."
Yeah, you know, Rentfree were up 2-1, and then the Favelas were like, "Wait a minute, this is our map. This is our house." They take 4 in a row. You know, Newton's first law states an object in motion will stay in motion. That's certainly how this game went, as Favelas just, with every intermittent change to the pace, the Favelas were still pretty much on a snowball. I mean, even if we look at the replays, that was a great swing by Filthy. I think Filthy may have gotten a little bit too aggressive with the re-engagement to try and make a bait for it, and that eventually caused them losing the round. There's the rotate from Carnage B that I loved, rotating over towards the breach, and he was a big part of why they were able to win that round. A lot of positioning too, I feel like, was just more well put together by Favelas.
More strict, more firm, almost like they had way more confidence just sitting on a certain part of the map, and you're like, okay, they can get a can from right there, because of course they can.
And I feel like when they did swing, it was a lot more of not necessarily a confident swing, but a more I don't know, based in logic kind of swing. Like, I felt like a lot of times when Rentfree swing and got caught, it was just because they were just kind of like, I guess I'll get aggressive. I'll try for this. But the Favelas, every time, they had a very specific intent, and most of the time they were able to pick up the kill. I felt like Rentfree were playing a lot more just kind of like, you know, whatever. We'll just do this, see if it works. Whereas Favelas had just looked like they were a lot more a lot more well-timed aggression.
Sure, that's fair. Here's something that we haven't really touched
There's
on
the
that
mirror.
much.
Yeah.
Dude, this Carnage play sitting,
was-
he's by himself in Logi, one on the hatch
Yeah.
drop, gets lit, another from the same position, and then just sits in Gold Vault.
Hashtag
God.
Carnage B Day.
Carnage had, hold on, he had one 3K sitting outside the CCTV solo push. He had another one later sitting inside Logistics' Mira. I want to say he had multiple rounds where he was getting 2 to 3 different kills. And this is as somebody who traditionally has always stuck on supporting roles. He's playing Ace, he's playing the Mira, he's playing stuff where he doesn't have to get aggressive, but it's almost as though Rentfree are just like, sorry, not specifically, but they are giving him the kills, even if he's not the one that's trying to go for it. Almost to the point that maybe we should be talking about Carnage next week or next time that these teams play, as opposed to somebody like Kino, because the amount of impact that he's been able to produce and the way he changes rounds single-handedly is something to behold.
Yeah, and that's something that you kind of want from your support player, right? They're not necessarily at the forefront, but they're, you know, they're a fulcrum that you can rely on to when push comes to shove. They can burst out of that position they've been holding and really change around. You know, Kino, we hyped him up. He still did well. He didn't have, the knockout performance he had against Oblation. Carnage B and Abonai kind of took that place. Abonai, who had a very slow start yesterday, came out of the gate swing. He went 11-10, I think, at the end of that map. And the Favelas are a squad who are kind of, they hold that position as a squad where all 5 of them, even the support players, can frag. So we'll see if Rentfree can make better work of their map pick. It'll be Consulate. But we'll give the players a short break. We'll give them a 5-minute break. We'll give me a 5-minute break so I can go get more Pepsi. But stay tuned. It'll just be a short break, 5 minutes, and we will be back with map number 2 just after this.
Here we go now.
on the precipice of wondering who Beast Coast's opponent is going to be in just a couple of weeks' time for the United States Challenger League relegation matchup. And at the moment, the Favelas are making a pretty convincing case that it's going to be them, even though we are heading to Rentfree's map pick. We just finished up on Clubhouse. It's a 7-4 scoreline for the Favelas. And now the pressure has mounted. Rentfree need to pull a really, really good game on Consulate out of wherever they can. Otherwise, this one's going to be a quick 2-0.
Yeah, they definitely had some highlight moments on Clubhouse, particularly Thomas and Sweater with a lot of those. If we remember, Sweater's push down long haul in Clubhouse, getting that 2K lineup at the very end to save that round for his team. But overall, Favela's looking a lot more solid with, as we said, out of 11 rounds, 9 opening kills. So just off of the front with aggression, Favela seems to be doing better. Favela seems to be playing their aggression a little bit smarter, and Rentfree just looked kind of caught off guard with a lot of those. So Consulate being Rentfree's map pick, I kind of hope we see a little bit more of a resurgence, though it is a little bit more, it's a map that leans a little bit more towards the aggressiveness and towards gunfights, so I'm going to just see how Favelas fare up against them.
This is a map that every single competitive friend that I've ever had has always said, don't go to it, it sucks. Can we get this switched out for something like a chalet or whatnot? But let's go ahead and jump into it and see how the rest of this series transpires. This is Rentfree's pick, a map that they won last week against, they were known as Guidance Gaming, now they're known as Bracket Blessed, and God, that was a really quick paced game. Well, I mean, the name is great, but I'm more surprised about how fast the map went, because that set and sealed the tone for how Rentfree can operate when they're on a battlefield that they're comfortable with. And this is something that Thomas, also playing for Senshi back in season 11 of Challenger League, played a lot with this team. So I already know that Rentfree can make magic happen on Consulate. The only question is, what are Favelas going to do to counter it?
We'll see what the bans are first, especially with Favelas, starting on the defense. Ban number 1, Consulate's a little bit more flexible when it comes to the bans. It's not always, Capital, Thatcher, Maverick, though Thatcher still is common. A lot of times we'll still see Nomad. We'll sometimes even see Ash or Zofia bans, and it will be Ace. So Favela's knocking out who is now, probably the most flexible hard breacher.
The nerf that he's getting about having a Selma's only do 2 ticks as opposed to 3 ticks.
That'll help.
I think it'll help. Maybe not in his ban rate so much, but whether or not he gets picked as frequently as a Thermite, because the holes themselves are so negligible in size if it's a 3-tick Selma versus an exothermic charge, that you might want to consider bringing him back into your lineup if the holes that they make are really about the same as, the hard breach charge. And speaking of an operator with a hard breach charge, there goes Capital, banned in 2 consecutive games, so that'll have his ban rate just kind of skyrocket. And Valkyrie on Consulate, another ban that makes perfect sense. But here's the kicker. Thatcher's been left up. So do we see a Cade or a Bandit or a Mute get taken down? And nope, it's the Womai. All right. So are we going to see, will we see more of a return to form here? Can Mute Mozzie actually make a comeback in this match with the way this ban phase has gone?
I hope
Please,
so.
I wish. Take us back to simpler times.
I mean, when it comes to Consulate is a lot less of a utility burn map. Garage kind of still plays that way. With Garage, you can kind of get around that. But already, we've got Mozzie and Vigil on the board for the defense, and they will be going to the split site. They'll be going Archives Tellers, a site that when it first came out was not the most popular. But now that people have figured out that, hey, console office kind of sucks, they'll go to the split site instead, because the split site is a lot more easy to just kind of chuck C4s up and make the site above, make Tellers a minefield. And as they swap off the Jaeger, they'll bring the Pulse, and now they have 4 C4s and a heartbeat detector on the board with just the Vigil to throw in a little bit of uncertainty at the attack.
There was a time when bringing Pulse Shotgun was a meme, and then this site started seeing more play. Carnage has whipped out the American Shotgun in favor of the UMP for a downstairs hold on this site, and really does befit the formula that Consulate has fallen into these past couple of months. Yeah, you're right. Not going to console makes perfect sense. I think if you can
10
avoid that
seconds
site
remaining.
like the plague, you're really kind of doing your job, as the other 3 sites have opened up in viability
5 seconds
so
remaining.
much, and that's just since like the time of the Invitational. It's something we're seeing
Attackers are
similarly
moving
to
to defuse
Villa,
the
where
bomb.
the other off sites are getting played a lot more. Library on that site sees even more play than some of the top floor sites do on occasion, and Consulate is kind of falling not victim to the same thing, but the way that teams are choosing to attack it choosing to defend it has definitely shifted on the priority scale.
Yeah, and the first pick already coming in, jolting on this. Wait, where the hell is Sweater? Wait, oh, through the drone hole!
Oh, no chance.
No! Sweater!
Oh, no.
Dude, it is once in a blue moon that I see a kill come out through that freaking drone hole, and the fact that it's Thatcher, really the only guy that's going to be able to disable the cardiac sensor of the pulse and make it easier to plant because the defenders don't know exactly where you're going to be going. That's a big pick, and that's also the top fragger from last map for Rentfree.
Whew. Well, Kino can have a lot more room to work with now. The Nitro, that's a perfect angle, but doesn't even do damage to the Rentfree player on Repel. The issue now becomes, can Rentfree spare the manpower to worry about this roam clear? Sweater might have been able to assist, but that's not really his job when you've got EMPs to work with and a whole bunch of time plus hard breach. And I did mention, are we going to see more Thermite with Ace Band? And that's exactly what we do see, but that just kind of makes sense if you're trying to play bottom up. Kino is getting flashed out of his mind. Prophecy finally has the clearance to move back in and has no idea. Kino gets caught out flush, and Prophecy nabs the kill. Abinai will opt to move right back out. He almost uses Kino as a sacrifice to make sure that he can get back to site uncontested, and all of a sudden he's going to get one Nitro through the floor. He's going to wait to pull the pin on it and actually move all the way back down main before he does. If he gets the call, and then maybe he can allow that one to rip and let freedom ring, but at least for the moment, he's opted to keep it in his back pocket.
Yeah, it might be because, you know, a common known fact is that Pulse's C4 can actually see through from the basement all the way to the top floors. That's what he was playing for. Carnage B gives him the call, but it'll only do a bit of chip damage to Thomas. So, still at an even 4v4, unfortunately. Only 2 C4s left on the board for the Favelas, and I wonder if that early investment of the utility and the loss of Kino's C4 early in the round is going to hurt their plant denial. Now, on the spiral stairs is where Abinai will play it, because of course he can't play for the C4 anymore, and he'll just make sure that the players downstairs playing for the explosives won't be pressured, as Diaz Lucas will now hit the flank. He's the sorry, not the Jaeger, he's the Vigil, so it makes perfect sense that he'll go for it, but there's an air jab on the doorway, and that'll stop him, and the cutoff is there. Thomas will get the kill, so Diaz Lucas goes down, so does the spiral player. The players on site are now perfectly exposed, but with the shotgun, Carnage gets one plant attempt, but Drip is still there getting it down,
Here comes
and there's
Prophecy.
no denial. The C4 misses, in the site is Prophecy, and there's Thomas in the hallway, Rent-free with round 1, a brilliant roam clear and a brilliant stop of the explosives downstairs.
We'll make a big deal out of someone getting killed through a drone hole all day, but Rentfree just kind of shrugs it off. They only lose one more player in the process, and they're able to storm into sight, create impact, and a whole bunch more carnage later, pun notwithstanding for the name of the Favelas player. All of a sudden, Rentfree have the first round in the bag. Favelas had a pretty good defensive option, but they weren't accounting for Prophecy. He storms in, grabs the kill on Kino after a whole bunch of heavy flashes sitting upstairs in admin, then pushes his way down what I'm assuming is Visa stairs or the hatch directly above, and then goes right through the rotates that Favelas have set up, trying to allow themselves a way out of sight for Nitro Cell kills up Visa, and
Defenders
all of a
protect
sudden
your
he's
bombs
just
from being
in
defused
grabbing
by
frags.
attackers.
I believe he finishes with... No, okay, he only had
Attackers have
2, but
located
those
a
were
bomb.
arguably the more impactful kills. And it forces Favelas into a really awkward spot, just with 2 players downstairs, hoping that someone goes for a default plant in lobby, and it doesn't net them the results that they want. Well played by Rentfree to not allow Thatcher getting taken out of commission early to put them down.
Right, that's kind of the big counter to the, you know how we talk about with the SSG roam, the normal counter is, you know, do the blue dirt rush and hope for the best.
Right.
The counter to the Archives Teller's, you know, minefield hold from below is rush the guys downstairs while they're looking at the ceiling. That's exactly what
5
happened.
seconds to insertion.
Carnage B was able to get one. Pulse shotgun for the win. Unfortunately, it was not enough. So, Lobby will be the next in the rotation. Lobby and Archives Tellers both having a massive resurgence in the current meta. And of course, a lot of this site, unlike Archives Tellers, revolves around holding it top down rather than bottom up. So, we'll see if Rentfree are able to efficiently clear the roamers. They were able to do so last round. Didn't have much luck with it for really the entirety of Clubhouse, but it looks like they'll actually opt for bottom up as one of those exothermic charges, which, not that big of a deal on this site, will actually be allocated to open garage eventually? Oh, yeah, there we go. I was very confused for a second.
I was waiting for it too. He might have been waiting for someone to like jump out before he tried to blow the wall. Almost like I mean, there has to be a reason he's sitting on cameras because no one's gonna try to deny that exothermic from a different part of the map. Or maybe he didn't know that there was somebody that had an electric claw that was about to trick it. But even then, I don't know. The timing is a little bit interesting, but the wall still gets opened is the overall point. And the drone game for Rentfree will now begin in earnest. Filthy can make his way into Visa and start pressuring from that side, but they do have to account for the Favelas having a lot of top floor control, and even if you can gain control of garage and everything directly below the site, at the end of the day, you'll still need to make sure the projector's been clear. Ebonai has the drop down in the event that he needs it. Jolden's got the perfect read. There goes your thermite. Only one exothermic's used, so still he's been able to do something, but oh boy, imagine what he could have done if the second exothermic was still there. Ebonai, oh boy, oh man, he'll get traded immediately, but the frag at the top still nets wonders and prophecy with 2 top floor control now firmly in Rentfree's hands.
All right, so after that opening, I thought Favelas were just going to snowball it like they did all of Clubhouse, but Rentfree, more specifically Prophecy, said, no, shut up, Crow. We're gonna put this in our own way. So Prophecy with a big 2 kills, looking for his third down the long desk. Kino doesn't know what angle to look at as he pressures over towards Paper. The Ash will skirt away. So Prophecy saving himself from the wrath of Kino for now, but as Kino tries to engage, Prophecy's there for his 3rd kill. Jolton and DS Lucas very separated. Jolton's over in Tellers? DS Lucas is inside a bathroom. The last 2 defenders really have no capability for a trade, so if their 1v1s are isolated and they lose it to Rentfree, then that's the round done and dusted. Prophecy is low HP though, and it looks like Jolton wants to flank upstairs and retake that control, but instead he'll look out the window and Sweater catches him. They must have had a drone on it or something, or that was just a brilliant reaction from the Thermite and from the Thatcher, and Sweater will just walk in the front door and kill DS Lucas. Rentfree with a brilliant round 2.
So Malusi goes outside the window, punches the window at the bottom of White Stairs, gets a kill. Goes back to it again about a minute and a half later and just gets demolished from way back outside near spawn. Yeah. So that's just an example of going back to the well one too many times and doesn't net any more frags. And I think it was also probably still an ill-advised roam. There was more time for Favelas to just sit pretty on the site and hope that the pressure from Rentfree comes quicker and maybe a little bit more splintered, and see if you can't maybe isolate 1 or 2 players out like you mentioned. But Favelas didn't have the control. They opt for a Malusi roam going for a risky kill, and now we see, Thomas. He's going to stick it. All right, here comes the Monty. I don't think we saw this on Consulate for Rentfree against Guidance Gaming last week. So Monty. On a garage pressure, there's a few different avenues you can take with Monty onto site here.
Attackers have located
I remember back on when Thomas was in Pro League, he was the Monty guy for LG. So when you see where he pushes, of course, you can take Monty and force your way through the garage door, bait out the smoke canisters, and then just plant behind the shield. You can use him to take yellow and put pressure on any player in pipes. You could use him for a back take. There's a lot of potential stuff you can do with Monty, or
10 seconds to go.
What I think they might do with him is use him to clear bathroom. You can see Carnage B is setting up the reinforcement. He's setting up for the mirror window, and that's likely where DS Lucas will play with the mute. It's a very default style of setup that the Favelas are employing. And if I'm correct, Thomas will likely use his giant shield that the defense can't really do anything about, and use it to just force that player out of bathroom and force him down the hatch early, or use the shield to facilitate a kill. It's actually, wait, is Abonai? I think Abonai is actually the one playing in there. No, I lied. It's DS Lucas. I don't know what I'm seeing. I think Abonai went up to put barbed wire down. I saw Abonai putting barbed wire down. I swear it was outside bathroom.
He was there. There's also like
okay, so he just dropped the hatch.
Yeah.
Okay. I thought I was seeing things.
You're not seeing things. It's just a matter of who is where at what time and who's staying in bathroom. Yeah, it's all good. So Garage, welcome back to Siege's biggest death trap. If that wall gets opened on both sides, and you get the plant down, there's no chance for Favelas to really go for a retake unless they're precise with their gunplay. Drip's already in sight. They got the smoke covered from 2 different sides.
Oh, so
the
there's
gas
no
grenade
time.
from Jolton has no chance. Thomas is running cover, and it turns into a 4 versus 5 post plant as Prophecy gets knocked down, but at the end of the day, there's the plant down, and Favelas need to scramble immediately.
And retaking this site really sucks. Sweater will knock Kino off trying to C4. Wait, Abenai's just going for it? Carnage B gets his head taken off, but there's the Monty to find a frag of his own. Jolton with one on Sweater, but it's a 2 versus 3. Jolton with a desperate run out, won't be able to find anything. Trading places to DS Lucas, but they can't find a single kill. Thomas finishes off the low HP Jolton with the pistol, and Filthy gets the headshot on the run out. Rentfree with a brilliant rush. I guess you don't need to clear the roam if Monty just pushes up side white and stops anyone from countering the plant.
So we found out really, really quickly why the Monty was brought. It's literally as soon as the wall gets opened, a smoke goes in to cover your yellow cross. The smoke canister from Jolton, who's in kitchen, by the way, whiffs. It goes way too far in the corner to try to deny the planet. It also gives Thomas on Monty plenty of clearance to walk through the hole made by Drip in the wall with the exothermic charge and just sit on white. If you come for a rotate anywhere through the standard rotate, which I'm pretty darn sure, yeah, it was sitting just in the wall of kitchen that would have looked into white van. But Thomas is just sitting there, making sure that no one has an angle onto the diffuser getting planted. The smoke cover abates the rest of it from the other side, and Rentfree, all they have to do is leave and they win.
Yeah. I mean, that's kind of how
located by attackers.
every single attack on a garage works. You just kind of plant and then leave and then win. Because trying to retake really any site on this map kind of sucks. So, good job to Drip getting that plant down amongst the hellfire above him. Good job to Thomas for forcing his way into the site, punching through with the Monty. And the Favelas, though having a very successful Clubhouse, Rentfree are now showing why this is their map pick. The Favelas have lost 3 defenses in a row, and they'll go back to where they started things off with Archives, yet again bringing pretty much the exact same, well, not pretty much, bringing the exact same operator lineup. We'll see if they're a little more successful with this U4 play this time.
And if Sweater can stay away from drop hold, that's also...
that too.
I'd say at this point, that's also paramount.
I still can't believe Jolton hit that shot. Sweater must have been, like, standing still in front of the drone hole. Otherwise, that is, like... That is a fast reaction on the shot.
Yep. Thomas is going to go in, knock barricades down. He's already lost both of his explosive grenades. He's got the concussion grenades still in his back pocket in the event he needs them. Carnage goes for a double kill off the hatch drop, and there's still one more above. Diffuser's been downed, and Thomas and Sweater still trying to equalize, but that's Carnage in the right place at the right time. There's no chance that Rentfree have to counter, but he might be able to go for one more off the rotate if he swings back in. Sweater's already in position. Thomas with 2 kills, and Carnage gets knocked out off the rotate. It's absolute pandemonium downstairs. It's all on Kino on the rotate, and Sweater has all the coverage in the world to get this diffuser down. Kino, he'll knock out the intel from any drones that are still on the site, seeing if he can't go for a top-down play with Nitro. No, actually, that'll just be a distraction, as maybe he can force Rentfree off kilter, but there's still a mirror window. He doesn't know that Thomas is sitting directly behind it, and all of a sudden, Kino has to go for a retake with no additional intel. I thought they had the hatch drop perfectly countered, and then Rentfree does this. I need to catch my breath.
Huh.
Wow.
Uh-huh.
That's 2 straight rushes. The first one is perfect. The second one should not have worked at all.
So, they open garage. They're like, okay, no people over there. They open the corner hatch to try and drop Blue Hall. All right. They drop right in front of Karn. And Karn is like, okay, cool. Kills 2 people with the shotgun because you're just not going to win against the M1014 when you're 2 feet away. And then Karn backs off.
Attackers need to locate and defuse
because Karn
bombs
backs
as they
off,
can.
Sweater is able to... Yeah, he goes through the rotate and backs off, but now he can't see the hatch anymore. So Sweater drops and is somehow able to wrap all the way around and then shoot the pulse from inside the site. Everyone else on the site died. and then it's just Kino upstairs. And again, trying to retake on this map sucks, especially when there are mirror windows being used against you, and it's the downstairs site in which all of the defender utility set up on those walls is now facing against you. There's 4 of the attackers, so yeah, great rush.
Attackers are heading out.
4 in a
to
row
defuse the bomb.
from Rentfree.
And for those who also don't know, if you're able to stun Crow into silence as effectively as that play just did, that means you're kind of doing your job right.
Yeah. I Karn got those 2 kills, and I was like, huh? And then everyone else on the favelas died, and I again went, huh? And then Rentfree won the round, and that is unfortunate. Kino, he's gonna get the first frag on Drip. Yes, it's Thermite. It's not the biggest deal in the world, but frag's a frag.
Honestly, I'm still trying to recover a little bit from that one, but I think Favelas can breathe a little bit easier. They did kill Drip as the Thermite earlier on a different round and still weren't able to lock out Lobby to themselves, so it may not be the biggest thing to lose, but it does mean Rentfree aren't capable of moving through Garage solo unless that panel's already been blown. Filthy will grab a refrag finally. It's not a perfect trade, but Carnage is now gone, and all you have to do is clear the mute jammers and not worry about his shotgun or his SMG. Kino is trying to provide more cover from up top, but he's just going to leave. I believe it's just Carnage was the only person sitting upstairs, so now I think almost all of top floor has basically been abandoned as Kino's downstairs trying to force more pressure, makes the rotate and gets caught out on a nade from Thomas and doesn't have the ability to see when he runs through. Yeah, what? I don't understand what Kino's play is there.
Okay. You know what? Something else interesting is, similar to the last map, the Favelas have gotten every single opening frag and have yet to win a round. So, if the trend continues, because Kino got the opening frag, Rentfree should win. So,
you would hope.
A little bit interesting so far. Jolton, Abonite, and DS Lucas being the last 3 defenders. Upstairs, the Jaeger will get droned and quickly fragged by Thomas, who is just sitting inside a Banshee inside a Projector. Jolton and DS Lucas now in a 2 versus 4 as there's the hatch drop from the attack, fragging out an antechamber, and Prophecy finishes Jolton off by Jungle. Rentfree seeming completely unstoppable on this map, just kind of slamming Favelas every time Favelas think it's okay to peek an angle. Rentfree says, no, you may not do that. This is not Clubhouse. This is our house. And pretty much just kind of slapping them around like a dead fish at this point.
I mean, Favelas are a really strong team. Rentfree is a really strong team. Coastline might be the only way we're really able to distinguish a true winner. And even if Favelas are able to, I mean, they can pull off that's surely a 6-pick. Surely. I'm having slight Paris flashbacks. Abonite, yep, there we go. Man, you got my hopes up. Anyway, one of these 2 teams is facing Beast Coast at some point down the road in just a couple of weeks. And if Favelas can pull off a comeback after having been down 5-0, I'll say that it was something that they were worthy of, but I will have missed not being able to go to a decider game. If Rentfree can finish this out in 2, maybe even 3 rounds and not allowing the Favelas to have really any momentum heading into the next map, then I will be a lot more satisfied with yes, we've been waiting all day for this map. Now we can see how it'll transpire. But
look at the Favelas score lines. DS Lucas is 0, Abonite is 1, Kino is 2, Jolton has 3, Carnage is 4.
10 seconds to insertion.
It's how numbers work.
Crow can count everyone.
Bomb located by attackers. 5 seconds left.
There's living proof of it in the pudding. It's right there.
Attackers are heading out to
I don't think he's
bomb.
What? You said pudding.
Yeah, someone do me a massive favor. Can we just get the clip of Crow counting in case anyone ever doubted the man's casting ability? Now we know he knows how numbers work.
Yeah. Actually, real life crows can be trained to count. Too.
Can I actually?
Crows can speak, yeah. Crows are actually smarter than parrots. There was this parrot called Alex the African Grey that was actually able to do rudimentary arithmetic.
How rudimentary?
He could do addition and subtraction, and he was trained to learn pattern recognition revolving around numbers, shapes, and colors too. He could even string together sentences on his own as a repetition. Like if he wanted to ask for, I think one of the most famous cases was he wanted to ask for a cherry, but he didn't know the word for cherry, so he asked for the small apple, which shows that those processes, they happen in animal brains. It's not just us.
Incredible.
They just can't vocalize it. just like Favelas can't vocalize a freaking round. As they're down 0-5, despite having every single opening engagement, they just cannot do anything in the mid-round. Rentfree have been slapping them at every corner, just as I've said this entire map so far. As Thomas on the rappel is looking for this upstairs player inside of the connector, and Rentfree are going for the rest of their roam clear. And should tradition uphold, the fellas should get the opening frag, and there it is, Kino on to Thomas. But they shouldn't be able to do really anything else in the round. So
Prophecy is not going to try to force the rest of the fight against the Malusi and will instead back away. It's still DS Lucas and Kino holding 2 floors above sight. It'll be a little bit before they can get moved out of position, as Rentfree need to start prioritizing something over nothing, because at the moment you can open up the wall, but you also aren't going for nearly as hard and fast a play as you did when you had the Monty in your back pocket 2 rounds prior. So it'll still be a priority on both Kino and I believe it's DS Lucas on one side of the map, and Prophecy as the only man tasked with trying to go for 2 frags. He will find one, immediately force his way back out, and DS Lucas will not push out from yellow. So now Prophecy has the ability to just take 2 1v1s, and DS Lucas is now more than likely getting pressured. The drone will come through. He'll move back down yellow, and Prophecy still hasn't made his move yet, but now he has a friend with him. One frag grenade, and DS Lucas pressured from all sides at the same time. Prophecy will be the one to get the kill, and all of a sudden, Favelas, once in the driver's seat, Rentfree are now trying to steer the car in a different direction.
That was a very confusing play on yellow from DS Lucas, and now the wall breach is open. The sledge is going in from upstairs and using that soft breach to his advantage, trying to maybe even clear the mirror window on this wall and find any picks he can, and it's a 4 versus 3 as the mirror window falls. Trying to get a frag through the floor is Carnage B, but instead he'll come off worse for wear, and in fact is now dead. A 4 versus 2, just as tradition upholds. Boy, do we love that. Drip moving in through side. White will get lit up by the Evil Eye, and actually this might be just in time to actually finish him off before he gets the plant down. 10 seconds left and he's off the board. Filthy has to pick it up, but he's gonna go for the res instead. No, he's too close. Jordan with a kill on Prophecy. It's a 2 versus 2 essentially. Where's the Evil Eye? It's picking away at Filthy. Is it gonna finish him off in time? It's 000, and it will! It'll deny the plant thanks to 1 Evil Eye under White Band. The Favelas off of the Maestro will finally take their first round on the last round of the half.
Nomad's doing as good a job as she can to just pick up Diffuser and plant in default, but that's where Thermite's sitting, and the button to revive and the button to plant the Diffuser are the same thing. It's bad positioning. Filthy can't start the plant at the exact moment he needs to, and it turns us into a 5-1 situation. Favelas bring 1 round back at the end of an utterly abysmal defensive half, and it could not have come at a better time. Stem the bleeding a little bit and try to force some of this momentum away from Rentfree, because we're heading to Coastline in minimum 2 rounds unless Favelas have something really, really good in their back pocket.
Yeah, I mean, it's after 5 in a row. I mean, I'll say it was just like on Clubhouse after Favelas 4 in a row. After 5 in a row from Rentfree, I don't know if 1 single round is enough to bring the momentum back into the Favelas' favor. I mean, yes, you know, after that kind of round, you know, winning off of an Evil Eye, you're gonna be pumped. You're gonna be really hyped. But is it enough to knock Rentfree off their own feet? If it was maybe the round to, you know, if that round was able to get, you know, their second round or maybe even, you know, tie up the half, then maybe you would shake Rentfree a little bit. You know, Rentfree were like, you know, oh, we could have had a 4-2 half. Oh, we could have had a 5-1. They already have 5 rounds. At that point, it's like, okay, it's 1. We only have to win 2 more. You know, we drop 1 round, whatever. The worst at this point is that it's not a 7-0. So Rentfree could still, like you said, take it in the next 2 rounds, as they again are going to play for that more drone denial, intel denial style of play, combined, almost melded with the utility burn. You've got Thomas with a shield, you've got Sweater on the Jaeger, and you've got Prophecy with those indestructible Banshees. And you got Drip and Filthy for the drone denial, and here's a spawn peek from Sweater inside the admin office. But as he gets droned, he'll fall off and back into paper.
We're probably in for a pretty darn long night, as day 2 of USCL is already going much faster than day 1 ever had any chance to. If we need to go to a map 3, it will be a long time, and at least both of the games that decide which 2 teams play each other to then play Tempo Storm in a couple weeks did go this long, because then there's absolutely no dispute about who of the better teams are at the end of the day. Filthy trying to deny more intel as the runouts and most of this really hard roam aggression from Rentfree. seems to have fallen off a little bit, as most of it's now concentrated in projector directly above the site. Drop down is open to Sweater if he needs it, and Drip's still trying to make his presence completely unknown to the rest of the team. There's still one inside admin, and that's where this first fight will be contained within. Sweater moves back to projector and still leaves one inside of paper, but now every single roamer from Rentfree is going everywhere on the map right now. It's kind of hard to keep up with.
Where
Where
did a thermite just go off on a top floor attack? What? I don't know where Carnage put that. Oh, it was on the yellow wall? That's weird, but downstairs there's Filthy. The Roam finally netting a kill. Jolton goes down, and wow, what a shot. Filthy with two, shutting down one of the players inside of admin. So already, for the first time in this entire game, again, it's gonna come late, but Rentfree will finally get the opener thanks to the Mozzie inside of Visa. Now the Mozzie will peel off, but he can still play for that C4 from below, and now the Favelas have wised up. They're trying to get him, but I mean, it's way too late. He's dipped, he's gone. And now it's a 3 versus 5, trying to move their way up long, but Rentfree have played this defense so aggressively that the fellas just looked like they weren't ready for it. Every time they tried to move in, Rentfree's there with a swing, and Filthy's there with his 3rd kill of the round, a triple for the Mozzie, and leaves everything up to Abonai and Dias Lucas. Filthy maybe gets a little bit too aggro coming out of the connector, and he'll be felled, but still, things in his team's advantage, and it'll fall all onto the shoulders of Dias Lucas.
Well, the Roam presence is everywhere and nowhere all at the same time, and there's no chance for Favelas to counter. Sweater testing that crouch button and ensuring another round goes in the favor of Rentfree. So far, I want to see more of this. Everyone was everywhere. At moments when you don't expect it, Favelas don't have any recourse or intel about where one person is at any given moment, because everyone is going from top floor down to bottom floor, through hatch drop downs, going back up staircases all over and over and over again in one really confusing loop. That's something I really, really do want to see more of from Rentfree. The only thing is, we sit on match point. It's not series point. This would take us to our decider. We're heading to Coast right after this, unless Favelas can win 5 in a row and then 2 more in overtime. Right now, I asked the question last round whether Rentfree would just be willing to give up Clubhouse. Do Favelas need to be content to just let Coastline slip and move to map 3?
Attackers need to locate and defuse bombs.
I don't know. I don't think the Favelas are coming back from this one, Chief. I'm not gonna lie.
Nails in the coffin already, you think?
I gotta say, I mean, we're going on to Garage now. The Favelas have to string 5 in a row, and there's been really nothing to convince me that they can do so. The one round they had was off of a Weevil. That's kind of more on Rentfree for not clearing that than it is Favelas for clutching. I mean, yeah, it's great on the Maestro for doing that, but it's still not completely because of that play. It's because of Rentfree's lack of judgment. And that unfortunate timing from the Nomad too, because the Thermite was in the way of her plant spot. So
right,
I think it's already done and dusted. I think we're going to match 3 no matter what.
Well, let's figure out how fast Rentfree are able to really shut the coffin. The what is it on a coffin? It's not a door, is it? It's more of it's like a trapdoor open swing up thing, but you don't call that a door. Oh, a lid of a coffin. I like that more. So the lid's already been shut, but can Rentfree drill the final nail in? You don't drill nails. I'm having a hard time over here, but a lot of what Rentfree is doing seems to be the same as last round. Prophecy is going to go way around and try to pressure the Sledge just by himself, sitting in administration. That's the quickest kill you're ever going to see. Don't get traded out right as Kino storms through and has long desk control, and 2 more kills. Still have the map in favor of RF for the moment, but Favelas, they need a way to equalize, and that might have just been a good way to start.
Yeah. Rentfree, though, still up in the mankind advantage. Filthy taking a little bit of damage, but, you know, he's smoke. His job is not necessarily to take the fights, and he can just keep throwing his gas from the remote side of the bomb site. Carnage V, Jolton, and Kino being the last 3 alive. And, you know, they are up there on the kill count, at least for their team. Dias Lucas, unfortunately, sitting at a donut 8 rounds in. Abonai 2 and 7, very negative. So I guess if there's any 3 you want, just grace of fragging power, it's these 3. Kino struggling to get down yellow or make anything happen. I mean, their hard breach is still up, but they can't actually clear the utility off the wall, and instead Carnage B will go for the bathroom hatch. So they'll open a little bit of a sight line into sight, but it's not really enough to mount and execute unless the entire attack decides to rotate to backside, which it looks like Kino and Jolton are trying to do. Kino clearing down from Spiral Stairs while Jolton is up towards Visa, peeking down the stairs into Cafeteria, but still, I mean, there's only a minute left and there's players dedicated to that side of the map. It's not going to be an easy clear for the Favelas to make work, as now the Jaeger is peeking over towards Spiral to make sure Kino can no longer push down. He'll in fact take the fight upstairs, but Jolton will fell him, so back to even man count, but I mean, just with Hard Breach not on the attacker's side, Rentfree just have to hold out.
They still can make it happen, at least for the moment. 3 versus 3, it's not the most insurmountable thing in the world, and it's your map pick, so you should feel pretty confident in it. Sweater doesn't check his... Sorry, no. Kino doesn't check his corner. Sweater's grabbing the kill, but from the top of main stairs, here comes Jolton, trying to find one more at the very opposite side of White Van, and at least for the moment, he's going to stick back, try to see if someone moves in his crosshair before he has to get too aggressive, but the smoke canister will continue to deny, and there's a nitro cell prepped in case someone enters the room, as well as more pressure from those smoke grenades, and Filthy doesn't have to peek through the holes nearly as hard as he is currently. Jolton grabs Filthy and turns into a 1 versus 2. It's all of a sudden on Drip, and he can't deny because Jolton's going crazy. 2 more kills sitting from the cafe side, and all of a sudden, the man who had the most legendary spawn kill last week is coming back with a vengeance.
All right, so Jolton, no TK yet, but he's able to get a 4K on the Nomad, and I mean, him stepping up is pretty much the only reason that they were able to even have a semblance of a chance in that round. So great job from him, but still all around not a great attack from the Favelas. They couldn't get the wall breach open. They had to mount their attack from the hatch and from the backside, which is never ideal. Jolton hitting his shots where it counts, and all of a sudden he's positive. He's 9-6 now, so great job to him, but you can't rely on a player going huge every round to bring things back in your favor. Yes, it's a 4K. Yes, it's a round back. Yes, maybe it's a bit of a momentum boost, but the Favelas are definitely going to have to fix and shore up their attacks if they want another chance at bringing this to OT.
Don't take Favelas to Clubhouse.
Attackers
Don't
need
take
to locate and defuse
Rentfree to Consulate. Don't take... I'm trying to think of someone else who has an astronomically high win rate on a map in such a dominating fashion. Even if it's a team in the EUL or in APAC.
Don't bring Season 11 SSG to Clubhouse. That sentiment doesn't hold true anymore, but it did, you know. Oh, don't send 2020 invite SSG to Clubhouse, I guess.
Well, I mean, they still won that map.
Don't send 2018 Penta to Consulate.
Yeah, there you go. But I'm trying to think of, like, does anyone have a really high win rate on Villa? Or, I mean, okay, I guess don't... It's almost like don't take G2 to Villa in that sense, just because of what they've been able to do on that map recently. Anyway, the point is, some of these teams have already scouted out and determined which maps they like in the rotation more often than others, and I guess my question for the Favelas is why they didn't opt to ban Consulate out straight away. In the ban phase, they went immediately for a theme park ban, which I'm not remembering if that was something that was played in Rentfree's game against Guidance, but they went for something that they opted... They just didn't want to play, as opposed to something that Rentfree knew very well. That I think Favelas should have expected that this could have been the result, as just because of not banning out one of Rentfree's most popular battlegrounds.
Early engagement already by Thomas, trying to get a pick on the window, but I hate to harp on Favelas, because I love the Favelas. I love both these teams, but I hate to harp on the fact that the Favelas just don't look like they know what they're doing on Consulate. I don't know if maybe they didn't expect Rentfree to take them here, because Rentfree, at least, you know, though they didn't have the best time on Clubhouse, they still looked like they had a semblance of strategy, right? A lot of this is Favelas with poor setup, you know, poor coordination on the roams, a lot of mispositioning. It's really odd to see, but they are going to roam clear, and look, they haven't lost a body yet. That's a W column there. That's a check mark in the W column for the Favelas. They're a minute in with no deaths, but no kills. I really hope they're able to get the breach open this time. That's what I'm watching out for. Drip did a great job, I guess, positioning the Electro Claws wherever they were to deny the breach completely. And if it comes down to a back push and a bathroom drop push again, I don't think they're going to let Jolton 4K for the second round in a row.
I'm going to give you a little mini story for this round. You ready? The mini story that we have to pay attention to is that DS Lucas is 0-8.
Yes.
Man's got no kills yet. Still
He's
trying.
shot someone.
I mean, right, but doing damage ain't the same as grabbing a kill for yourself, and I definitely don't think he wants to end a map that's this bad. Still with no kills to his name. Opening pick is Kino onto Sweater. Goodbye to the Maestro, and at least for the moment. We'll see if this is something that Tino can take full advantage of as he pushes all the way down White. Drip isn't peeking at the right moment, but he's still getting massively pressured down. Filthy does take him down, so your yellow stairs presence is gone if you're the Favelas, and Drip trying to evade as best he can, but soft destruction from Abonai can still turn the tide and force Drip into yet another disadvantageous spot. Thomas is trying to go for something here as well.
Sorry, you talk about the soft destruction above, but I think the most important change we have from the last round is that they were able to get the breach open, and through the breach there's a kill. No, actually a trade. Carnage and Drip kill each other, and Diffuser will be dropped outside the big garage door. So if there's 3 and someone from the attack will have to diverge from the main push and go pick up that Diffuser and be the dedicated planter. Smoke's now coming out to delay the player on the hatch, but no, from inside the breach, Diaz Lucas catches Filthy trying to push up yellow, trying to find that second frag with a shotgun. Mankind advantage finally in the Favelas' favor. Can they win a round off of it? No, Diaz Lucas has no clue. Prophecy's pushed up side White. It's all over. It looks like dropping the hatches. Jolton, he finds the kill. It's a 1 versus 1. 3 seconds left. Jolton needs to find side White, but Prophecy is dipping and he won't find it.
Operators, you are out of
Win it,
time.
and Rentfree will take the map off time.
7-2 in dominating fashion, more so than what we saw from Favelas taking Clubhouse earlier. Rentfree are sending us to map 3. Coastline is the final battleground to determine who faces Beast Coast going into a match against Tempo Storm. Good Lord, how the tables have turned in such a short amount of time. That is...
Wow.
Can we just say that Rentfree, in terms of how fast and how hard their attacking strategy was, did they just write the book on how you're supposed to attack and defend this map? Did they just... I think they just taught us all a little bit of something.
They may have. The Monty push was spectacular. The rush in the blue, though started off not great, was very recoverable with the way they were positioned. Favelas were just getting pinched a lot. They were getting caught out by positions that they didn't even know existed. Favelas, honestly, like, it sounds kind of mean, and I kind of feel bad, but Favelas just looked lost, man. They looked like they just had no idea what they were doing on Consulate. Like, they were able to get the breach open, but they just spent way too much time inside of Piano. Even though they had Piano control, they let the Jaeger push up side White and grab the corner under the garage door, and that, I mean, effectively, if that kill doesn't happen, maybe they have enough time to get the plant down, but that was rough for the Favelas. And moving on to Coastline, I really hope they're able to shake that off.
I think in some of these replay clips as well, we can see just how off kilter everyone on Favelas just seems at really any given moment. It's uncharacteristic because we know how strong of a team they've been through this, this stage thus far, through all of CL for the 2020 season thus far. It's been a very consistent picture for them. And, aside from a couple of very, very base slip ups, I mean, even like right here, things like this should definitely turn rounds into the Favelas' favor, and yet RF keep a cool head, don't allow things to get to them, and still manage to swing things back, even if it takes the entire duration of a round to do it, or if they do it literally as soon as an opening kill comes from the Favelas. It's something they turn around every time.
And just like last map, there were only 2 opening kills from Rentfree that entire game.
Yep.
Both on Consulate, both on Clubhouse, only 2 opening kills to speak of, but this time we had a flip of the script, and every time Favelas got an opener, save 2 rounds. Every time Favelas got an opener, they lost. I don't know what it was, but every time they got the opening kill, Rentfree were like, all right, hit the brakes, reevaluate, and we're able to perfectly adjust, and there was really nothing that they could do. This 3K from Filthy was, I guess for lack of a better word, filthy, living up to his namesake. It was, again, look at this. It's just a lot of Favelas not knowing where the players from Rentfree are and getting caught out.
Especially on defense. That was something we kept seeing over and over again. You don't play nearly as disjoints on attack because you gotta, keep one person with the other. You're keeping your Monty with your Thermite, and you're planting in the same motion. You're keeping, your top floor roam clear is usually like half of your team splitting off and going off in the same direction. It's something that Favelas didn't have a counter for on attack. And then when they shift over to defense, when Rentfree shifts over to defense, they are everywhere. There isn't a nook or a cranny that they aren't in for 2 seconds waiting for a drone bait, and then they're moving up and down floors over and over and over again. I don't know what to say other than I want to see more of that defense. The way that Rentfree opted to play a defense on Consulate, it's just something that I already enjoy because it's that sporadic and you really don't know what to expect.
It was really fluid and really aggressive, especially when they were defending Console. They just kept like swinging admin and printer over and over again, just making sure the Favelas didn't feel safe no matter where they were sitting. And a great improvement we saw from Clubhouse to Consulate too was Rentfree's drone game. Their drone game on Clubhouse, not the best. Their drone game on Consulate, on point every single attack. And I hope the Favelas can bounce back from this. I hope we get a much closer game on Coastline because, we are apparently starting the 2-1 streak. We've ended the series of 2-0s, and now we're going to go to the decider map, which means, it's already almost 6 p.m., so we might have a long night. But we're gonna give the players time to recuperate. Hopefully the Favelas are having a very long talk about what happened, and Rentfree are psyching themselves up to continue this on Coastline, so don't go anywhere. After a 5-minute break, we'll be back with the final map of the series.
2 maps played, 1 map going to either side in this back and forth contest between Rentfree and the Favelas. We have to hit map 3. We're heading to Coastline, ladies and gentlemen, to determine exactly who will be facing Beast Coast in the finals of United States Challenge League. I'm Caliber Jacob Anderson, and this is Harrison Crow Broder, and so far, we've seen a barn burner, but both maps have been pretty one-sided so far.
Yeah, 7-4 on Clubhouse for the Favelas, and 7-2 on Consulate for Rentfree. Both teams taking their own map. So, kind of the way she goes so far, and the decider is going to be Coastline. I'm very excited for Coastline, because that means we get Drip off of Hard Breach, and we get everyone on the Favelas on fragging rolls. So, if Coastline was that aggressive by especially Rentfree, I'm really excited for how Coastline will play out.
Yeah, Consulate was... Rentfree were doing things that you're not supposed to do to another team, especially on that defensive half. But we got to see so little of it. I'm wondering if that same kind of defensive, aggressive, heavy playstyle can carry over to the map that we all know for being the frag fest, that is Coast. The one that plays out differently from everyone else in the map rotation isn't necessarily a bad thing, as much as the competitive community might have its opinions about it, or even it getting swapped out. I don't know which map is technically more unpopular there. Is it Consulate or Coast at this point? Because there are really kind of two schools of thought on it.
Yeah, no one really likes them anymore. Well, so far in our stage 2, they've both been banned an equal amount of times. And then they were both played just now. Consulate or Coastline was played between Ape and Beast Coast though, right? And
yeah,
not
it was.
Consulate.
Yeah.
So that means, I guess, Coastline is more popular in this stage by 1 map.
I suppose so. I mean, if we're seeing it as a decider game here, and we saw it in the Ape versus Beast Coast series, maybe we'll have a chance to see it again for, the winner of this game versus Beast Coast later. But we got to figure out who's going to be playing the guys in Grain first, and then we'll figure out everything else afterwards. Ladies and gentlemen, map number 3, it's our decider. We are more than likely in for so much siege today that even we can't handle it, and we've got another best of 3 coming up. We have 2 more best of 3s after this, and Crow and I have another one way later down the stretch.
Yeah, we
but
do.
Oh boy, yeah.
Actually, so it's 6 p.m. Every map is about 40 minutes to an hour. So let's say this map ends at 7 p.m. We could potentially be going till 1 a.m. Eastern. Kill me, but
baby,
I'm gonna try as best I can to keep the hype up. I don't care if my dad and brother are sleeping. I'll scream my lungs out anyway. Rentfree are going to get the first ban as they start on defense first. Now, Coastline is kind of like, it's like Consulate in the sense that a lot of times bans can be pretty flexible, especially because you don't have to take out a hard breacher. Although a lot of people have been banning Ace anyway, and there he is. So just in case you were even thinking of opening that cocktail wall upstairs, well, you'll have to bring a Hibana for it.
At this point,
Capital? Nomad?
Capital's had the ban
Jackal?
twice in a row. Jackal. Does that mean we see Capital play, though? That's the thing. Banned on Clubhouse, banned on Consulate. And part of me was wondering if it was just because it's the fact that he has the utility that he does, and now a hard breach charge, which makes him even more of a viable pick. So if Favelas, they can kind of prove whether or not that statement's right if they want to go for a high pick rate on Capital, but for the moment, we'll leave it there. And that seems like a target ban. That definitely seems like a ban against Drip. Am I
Drip's,
crazy?
Drip's most played operator in his last game was Vigil. Both teams utilized him a hell of a lot on Consulate, so I guess maybe it's a counterban to Drip. Maybe it's because Jackal's off the board and Vigil might be a little bit harder to hunt down. Vigil is kind of like, when Vigil sits in a room and you're trying to drone him out, he's kind of like, it's kind of like Schrodinger's cat, Schrodinger's Vigil, right? You really don't know if he's there or not. So he's kind of, he sits in that kind of limbo. He's both there. You have to assume he's both there and not there until you dry peek it and visually observe the phenomenon for yourself. So unfortunately, we won't be able to see one of the most aggressive operators on one of the most aggressive maps, but it'll be Hookah first and Rentfree opting for a bit of a different lineup. Well, as I said, the Mirror will be 6 picked off too. Or off of, so Mozzie, much more common operator, and Sweater on Alibi, and I would assume with the lineup they're taking, Sweater will have a shield.
This map has a little bit of a special place in my heart. You know why? Back when Challenger League was under a different banner, this was the first map that I casted. You want to know what
really?
the first map that I ever had was this one, and the first call that I ever had was, I believe it was England. But back then, they were playing for a team known as Vanquish, or the old like Rise Nation core from way back in the day. And he was running under the username Wet Meat at the time. And the first time I ever have a call on any semi-professional broadcast is, ladies and gentlemen, Wet Meat has been removed from play. And it was on this exact same site, and I remember it so vividly, so now every time we go back to Coastline, I'm like, hey, this feels like home.
Yeah, I got my first start on Cafe.
Attacker's objective is to defuse a
I kind of
bomb.
hate casting in Cafe now because it's played so
Defender is
often,
approaching
so.
the kill zone.
Unfortunately,
Defender
there's
is
not going to be love from me. Here's an early run out from Sweater, trying for a spawn peek to set the tempo, but instead it'll be Thomas on his own spawn peek, or even just getting caught out on a rotate, and he'll fall early to Jolton. Actually, it was on a run out. That's a feels bad man for Thomas.
It had to happen at some point. It's just that it came with less than 30 seconds gone in the round, and Thomas switched off of a Mira to go for a Mozzie, which implies it was a little more roam heavy, but Drip, perfect execution from the drone hole spot in Sec Office. All right, goodbye Kino, goodbye to more soft destruction, and all of a sudden, it begins to equalize. DS Lucas has a frag all the way on Prophecy, and trying to figure out if he was positioned closer to the bomb site or if he was further away, but we'll still have one more of those frags in his back pocket, and at least for the moment, Drip and Malusi now, everyone on Rentfree needs to start huddling back around the site. He'll go for the quick peek against the Ash, and he'll lose HP in the process, but he'll still retain his life. He needs to be way more cautious with it, as there's only a minute left. Sorry, only a minute dispelled in the round.
Yeah, there's only a minute dispelled in a round, and already we've seen 3 deaths and damage off of Drip. There's been like 5 different engagements so far, and in fact, the Capital not bringing the hard breach charge, instead bringing the Claymore, and I think when Prophecy got naded, he was actually down inside of Sunrise, because there was a drone. I think that's where the X was, and there was a drone kind of watching his position. And here on the balcony, it's going to be Jolton, ripped off the rappel. Great frag by Sweater, and Drip with 3 shotgun shots, able to finish off Abinai. Now the tables have turned. Favelas are in the disadvantage. Carnage and DS Lucas being the last 2 members, with DS Lucas doing a little bit of vertical destruction upwards with the sledgehammer. Not something you see every day, but definitely possible on Coastline due to that bar how close it is to the ceiling. But Filthy still downstairs is going to slap Carnage down, and just like that, dropping Diffuser outside. It's all up to DS Lucas in a 1 versus 3.
He had a pretty good kill on Prophecy with that nade previous. The second one will come through. Sweater pops up from hookah doorway. Oh man, Rentfree. They lock it out after a little bit of a worrying start to the round, and it turns into a Favelas man count, but hey, they turned things around pretty damn effectively, and all of a sudden, well, not all of a sudden. This is how the map began last time. It was Rentfree winning the first round. It was Favelas winning the first one on Clubhouse. I don't want to say that he who wins the first round wins the whole thing, but so far we've got a trend. It's a very loose trend. It doesn't matter. It's almost superstitious sounding. But hey, if we have any storyline that we can work from, maybe Rentfree take this one just based off the first round.
You know what other tradition is being upheld? Favelas got the first frag and they lost the round. So I wonder if we're going to continue this from the Favelas.
We came a very, very long way from Favelas getting the first pick and then winning almost every round as a result. Because then Consulate happened, changes our opinion completely, and now we're here.
Yep. So maybe we'll get a combination of 2. Maybe it'll be Favelas getting the first pick every round, and then a back and forth game from these 2 teams. Who knows? That would be cool. We see, all 3 possibilities. But Rentfree so far really setting the tempo in that round with that aggressive run out from Thomas. Sure, he got slapped down, but then the rest of Rentfree, I guess
seconds to insertion.
they didn't really peel back. They peeled back for like 2 seconds and then went aggro again, and it worked out.
5 seconds left.
Good job to them. Now the swap on the kitchen, they'll still be bringing Malusi. They'll still be bringing a very similar lineup, only swapping the smoke for the Wamai for just that extra bit of utility burn that is usually a little more useful on kitchen than it is on hookah.
A little bit more rotate presence, even if it's not like the most conventional rotate in the world. You can still hold on to Penthouse and Theater, especially if you're trying to take a site that's directly adjacent to it or almost right above it. So that'll be where the Favelas need to aggress first, and then Rentfree can try to mess up their attack strategy, but only after Favelas make their positions fell. Prophecy's got intel? something, a sound cue, and Abunai's head is removed from the field. It's one of the quicker flicks I think we've seen all day. That kind of takes me by surprise because I don't know how he has the wherewithal to get the kill. Good job to him, though, as now the rest of Favelas will have to operate off the back foot as they no longer have the opening kill.
I mean, I guess that's why his name is Prophecy, right? Truly playing into his namesake, but unfortunately, he'll get killed by Kino. So, good angle being held by the Zofia there, and we will even out man count. And yet again, there's still 2 minutes left on the clock, and there's already been 2 deaths in very early engagement, so Coastline looks like it's going to be a very upbeat map as the attack will continue to try and clear over towards VIP and then make their way over towards Theater, where the defenders are holding above the main lobby. Here comes the push from Kino. He has the yellow pings, but no, he's crossfired from actually the drone hole, now exposing his back to the Wamai of Filthy, but Filthy's backed off towards the luggage stairs. So a lot of missed opportunities, but the C4 won't be. Kino goes down on the floor. Of course, he is Sophia, so he can pick himself back up, and I don't know if the defenders have any intel on where he is. Judging by the spray from the Mozzie, they don't, so he will be alive, but still a lot of damage off, and Carnage B gets finished off. Jolton to the refrag, but Kino is there to die as well. It's Jolton and Diaz Lucas, a 2 versus 3, and only a minute left.
They were in this position just in the last round, and Rentfree were the victors, and Diaz Lucas, I'm not certain if he was seeing ghosts. Probably the implication. Jolton's now all by himself unless he can go for the res on DS, and Thomas will just pop right in and noob tube his way to victory. Drip will be the one to clean up Jolton, and Rentfree already continuing the momentum that they had from Consulate. Is it already too late for Favelas to try to mount a comeback?
Looks like it might be 2 very poor roam clears twice in a row. Extremely aggressive play from Rentfree, and not a lot that Favelas can do about it. Rentfree just keep peeking, and Favelas keep losing. Although Favelas did not have the opening frag, so there's a little bit of, you know, yeah, we bucked the trend for 1 round. So Rentfree continuing their defense, they'll go down to double bar. I like double bar. And they'll even employ Amira, who, this is really the only site she's consistently played on nowadays.
Protect your bombs from
I would
being
assume
defused
they
by
have
attackers.
one kind of facing blue bar and the other one facing 90, but we'll see what Drip decides to do.
Attackers have discovered the location of a bomb.
If you go back to that head-to-head matchup that we had at the very, very beginning of this series, we were saying it was Thomas and Kino. Kino had a lot of impact on Clubhouse. Thomas has more than enough impact on Consulate, and now we sit here. 2 ops that primarily play in those support slash frag. Oh, sorry, it's a support role on defense, more predominantly sticking to a smoke, but on a Coastline defense, it's probably less imperative to have that kind of area denial when you can just go crazy with the roams, and that's kind of what Thomas has opted to do. And Kino is still trying to hold to his entry position for right now. It just hasn't netted as many frags as you would like. It's only 2 rounds in, it's not the end of the world, but so far his performance is one to keep note of. And something else that we also hadn't talked about was that Carnage has fallen off since that Clubhouse game, not having nearly as much to do with their loss on Consulate as he did on their win on Clubhouse, but it's still something to keep in mind. And there's that head-to-head. Just as I say it, Thomas knocks off Kino, and any entry potential that he's got with that M7 is now completely removed from play.
Well, just like you said, the M762 falls, and Rentfree have just been not necessarily monkeying out on Coastline, but playing extremely aggressively on Coastline, and Favelas just, they look burnt out. You know, it looks like Clubhouse took all they had to win. They couldn't do anything on Consulate, and now on Coastline, Rentfree just say, all right, we're just going to walk all over you. And so far, they've done so within the first 2 rounds. Kino off the board. So with the defense that Rentfree is playing, you know, they've got a shield, they've got Maestro, they've got Wamai, and they've got Jaeger. So the loss of the Zofia might be sorely felt by this attack, as now they're going for the soft destruction inside of Hookah, but Thomas will spring up and catch his second kill around on Jolton. Another utility operator down off the board. That is Capitao. We've seen him played through the first 3 rounds, and we have yet to really see any kind of impact, as it looked like he actually just got fragged out from the Cool Vibe stairs. It's rough for the Favelas so far.
Yeah, and Thomas has covered with Prophecy trying to track with him as much as possible, or at the very least, Thomas is able to move into a position where he has one other player on Rentfree backing him up if he goes for another pick, and Favelas, they're off their trade game. No one's been able to kill Thomas as soon as he kills a member of their squad, and it's showing that Favelas are just in a really bad position and aren't anticipating the roam game from Rentfree as heavily as they could.
There will be 2 missed C4s, though, so I guess, it's about the little victories right now is all the Favelas can get. Thomas with yet another run out won't net anything the complete other side of the map as the rest of the attackers, but there's 1 man upstairs, 1 man cool vibes, and 1 man pushing Mudroom, but he can't get around this shield. This is going to pose a great problem, and it doesn't look like Dias Lucas, though he has nades, they haven't really cleared utility, and he's also at 1 HP, springing up, he'll lose the fight to the Mira as he should. Dias Lucas gets a refrag on the site. Abanai is able to down off Filthy. No finisher just yet, though, and in fact, he's refragged from Blue Bar for Thomas's 3rd kill of the round. Dias Lucas is the last attacker with barely any HP, up against 4 now that Filthy is rezzed, and the Mira will just swing around and finish the round. Rentfree with a very swift round number 3, and Favelas, just like on Consulate, will continue to be lost in Rentfree's sauce. Nah, I don't take that back. You know what? I'll stick with it.
You're sticking with it? You're trying to...
Our producer didn't like it either.
Here's if we were watching like some summer blockbuster right now, he did like the action-packed trailers that always have, the crazy music in the background, and it's super dramatic. If we had to have a tagline for how this season has transpired thus far, United States Challenger League, swing or be swung.
Yeah, pretty much. With the way the servers are right now, and the tick rate and the perspective, it's kind of swing or be swung. Usually, I mean, that's how Siege has always been. The aggressor will usually be the one to get the frag. If the attacker has perfect intel on the defender holding the angle, and the defender has perfect intel on the attacker swinging, the attacker's probably going to win the fight. Just because taking the aggro, and because of perspective, the more confident you are, the more aggressive you are on the swing. If you know where they are, the more likely you are to win the fight. So, Rentfree have just been chugging along and stomping Favelas out of return. The closest round we've had so far was rounds 1 and 2, where Rentfree have had 3 members still alive. The fact that in 3 rounds, the closest the Favelas have been to victory is a 1v3 is not, going forward, does not pose a lot of threat to Rentfree at all.
We can also talk about Coastline, the map as well, one we've known for being predominantly attacker-sided. It has been 3 rounds in a row on defense for Rentfree. I think we did also see a lot of attack rounds go in the favor of either Ape or Beast Coast when they played on this one in the previous series. And it's not like you can't have maps swing on meta, but if it goes in one way, it's typically expected to stay that way. And I think Favelas finally maybe have an opening here. They did have a man advantage earlier in the game, but with Thomas gone, that's one of your crazy good roamers immediately taken out of commission, and you really can't utilize his distractionary tactics anymore. Filthy, seeing if there's one on VIP Balcon, there is, but he loses so much HP and gets crossed. Jolton's not even firing at him, he's firing at the Maestro, and he'll take down Filthy without realizing it.
That's pretty damn funny. But Rentfree, you said that Coastline is a map that traditionally swings a bit in the way of the attackers. It looks like Rentfree's solution to that is play attack on defense. Swing them, go to them. Make Rentfree, or make the Favelas start on the back foot as soon as the round starts. Make them be afraid of us pushing them. So far, in this round, not so much. But of course, Rentfree not out of it just yet. With the way that Rentfree have been playing and the way that Favelas have been dropping rounds, I don't think I'd count Rentfree out of this round just yet. But there's a whole minute 30 left. Favelas have plenty of time to try and make this push happen. And with 2 men up on Rentfree and a hell of a lot of HP off of Filthy, hey, maybe they can happen. But as I say that, there's Drip just pushing luggage, and down goes Kato.
I was about to say, Rentfree seem like they're really out of position while they just try to deal with the intel. It's being flooded into sight by the Favelas. 2 sitting in luggage. Probably has a golden opportunity, but Dias Lucas will hop the bar and will get downed off the retrade. There's now Drip still trying to evade kills for as long as he can. Dias Lucas hasn't been down, can still provide intel, but the cross from Jolton all the way inside VIP and Abernai with a kill of his own. Favelas, they stop this momentum, if only temporarily.
All right, it's 1 round due to the Favelas, and mainly because Rentfree got over aggro, swung everything, and this time the Favelas actually hit their shot, so good on them. We'll see if it's enough to actually string together more rounds and turn momentum in their favor, though. As, we saw it on Consulate, the Rentfree were heating up. It didn't matter what, in what manner that the Favelas were able to win a round. Rentfree just immediately brought it back every time. So we'll see if Favelas can make a difference, and Kino will swap off Zofia onto Twitch, so off the M762 onto the F2. The F2 still a monster of a gun with its rate of fire, and we're going to see ourselves on kitchen
Attackers
service,
need to
which, of
locate
course,
and
Rentfree
defuse
won
bombs.
last time because they did a great roam upstairs, swung everything, and they killed everyone.
A couple players on Favelas haven't really been able to get going quite yet. Kino, oddly silent. Carnage, no kills yet, and he was top fragging on Clubhouse, or he was very, very close to it. But the amount of 2 and 3Ks that he had in that map, then to see his performance slowly begin to dip more and more while sticking on the same roles, it's a little disheartening, and it means Favelas can't really dip into that nearly as much. And Abonai as well, he typically sticks to, you know, the more entry / more flex on attack, but even only having 1 kill is not where you want him to be. If we switch sides, though,
5
look at
seconds to go.
Rentfree. Thomas was the open kill last round, but he's still got 5. He's got more
Attackers are
kills
moving
by
out to
himself
locate a
than
bomb if
Rentfree
you
have round wins, or there are even rounds played. And Sweater also positive in the KD count, but Drip is the story right now. 6 kills, only 1 death, playing flex operators, trying to area deny and stall as much of Favelas' time as he can. And right now, this triple roam setup from Rentfree has done so much damage to Favelas' potential pushes.
You can stop worrying about grenades now.
Favelas now trying to push this Mozzie out of Sunrise Bar. That's step number 1 if they're trying to take the horizontal. In fact, the Mozzie will take a drone. I don't believe it's been shot out just yet. Prophecy's upstairs holding 90. In fact, the drone will be shot out, but Rentfree looked like they've peeled back a little bit. I think they've learned from their mistake. They're like, okay, let's not just run at them with our guns down, and maybe we'll turtle up on site a bit more. The Favelas still look a little bit shaken. Twitch drone coming in. If there's any utility for her to zap away, I mean, there are Mozzie pests, there are there's ADSs or whatever. Not going to do much against the Malusis, but still, you know, if you can pick off any utility you can, definitely help in the long run. Favelas have yet to clear up top, though. They've yet to really try, as it's mostly horizontal so far.
Not too much presence either, as Sweaters come back to site. Jaeger's only sitting in courtyard. Actually, no, yeah, Prophecy is rotating back between front desk and court at the same time, and Drip isn't going for a push himself. I believe he's still sitting in bathroom, so Rentfree, contrary to the playstyle that they've used the past couple of rounds, are instead sitting back away, sorry, sitting closer to the site as opposed to sitting away from it.
Yeah.
Kino is getting close, looking for a pick. He might have Thomas's feet if he doesn't reposition appropriately, and Filthy also not in a great spot. Thomas and Drip both take a pretty good amount of HP off Jolton and DS Lucas as well, so it's still relatively even with 1 minute and 12 seconds to go. I don't know if Rentfree are the ones that need to make a move, or if Favelas need to get more aggressive than they are currently.
I mean, this is the longest we've gone in this entire map so far without a kill. There's only 1 minute left, and it's still a 5 versus 5. Filthy could have gotten the first pick there, but will miss his shots on the player in cool vibes. But Prophecy could be very close to the first frag, but no, he'll lose it out to Abonai. A great shot there from the Ash. There's a refrag, though. Sweater C4's Kino off the face of the earth. DS Lucas for 1, Thomas with another, and we're at a 3v3. Diffuser dropped, and inside the site, DS Lucas is stuck behind a wall of fire. Carnage B goes down as well. It's all up to Abonai. He whips on Filthy. No, pistol out, and he loses the fight to Sweater, swinging bathroom. Rentfree string together there, 4th round. It looked like it could have been doable, but when the push came to shove, Favelas fell flat.
Oh boy. We were just talking about players that kind of needed to step up a little bit more too. I thought Abonai could make more of a play than he did, but the last whiff at the end just kind of like takes all the wind out of my sails in terms of if he was able to turn everything around. It's a good attempt nonetheless. It was a 3 versus 3. It took a really, really long time for any kills to come out. You're right. What was it? About a minute into the round before we even saw the first couple of ticks of damage?
Oh, ticks of damage? Yeah, like a minute in, and then we didn't see a kill until like 50 seconds left.
But that wasn't really because of the way the meta currently shifts either. It's not like, oh, it's forced 20 seconds because you're worried about util clear. It's forced 2.5 minutes because Rentfree doesn't get aggressive on their roam, and Favelas are kind of sitting back wondering where the roam is going to come from. They take the control that they need, but they are already used to RF being incredibly aggressive, going all over the map, and potentially resigning themselves to the fact that they won't have the intel necessary to know where everyone is at every given moment. So they take the control that they need, and they just kind of sit there and wait, going, can someone make a play? And then by the end of it, Rentfree already had the round win because Favelas wasted too much time hoping that the roam would expose itself.
10 seconds remaining.
I think something weird that I also noticed.
5 seconds.
I don't know if I've seen a nade from Dias Lucas
Attackers are
get
moving
a
out to
kill.
locate a bomb and defuse it.
Look at all. He's died with at least one nade in his pocket, sometimes two. And I mean, you know, you're Sledge, you're the nade guy on the team. You gotta be using those. You gotta be fishing for those kills, or, you know, even just using it to clear utility. And Dias Lucas, hasn't been. It's definitely curious, but I definitely like Rentfree's adjustment. You know, they get over aggro, give the Favelas
bomb
a
has been
round, and then
located.
when Favelas expect them to do that again, they end up stalling out, just baiting for the picks that Rentfree aren't giving to them. So we'll see if Rentfree decide to play passive yet again. They're a little bit extended from the site, so they are playing roam, but again, they're not playing nearly as aggressively as they did for the first 3 rounds, the first 4 rounds.
Ever since that game from Oceanus in Depth from last week in the Canadian division, to see a Maestro move from a staircase down to some other part, like back to site, it always worries me, because that's such a massive risk to lose on a roam if it comes to it, but it's also been really effective, and Sweater so far has proven that his shots are on point. But if he's watching the crossfire by himself, I wonder if it's more that he has a really good gun and he's a 3 armor, so he can take more of a shot in the event that push comes to shove and a gunfight happens. But it still makes me concerned that it's a little bit too much utility to be losing that soon and that risky.
Oh. I was kind of excited. I thought Mozzie was gonna like get his drone out and be able to save the intel. Wait, is that another one? I think he just, well, now we have a sound bug. That's great, but I think he just got 3 drones off of his 3 pests, because we saw Ash shoot 1, he switched onto another one, and then the little drone thingy lined up. So, wow, Thomas with 3 drones off the Mozzie pest. Sutter will take a lot of heat from, I believe, above, I think, as he's now barely on any HP. Dias Lucas trying to make magic happen through the floor. He wasn't able to do much with it last time. We'll see if he's able to do it now. And a power position being played by the Mira, I believe behind the shield by Mudroom, is, I guess we'll get the sound cue from the flash and the down, but Drip will recover Sweater. So it's still at an even 5v5. Yet again, it's very late in the round before we even see the opening engagement, and it's not even a kill to come out. But as I say that, Kino will fall to Prophecy. An opening kill for Rentfree yet again, answered by Cabanai, but that's another one for Prophecy. The nade, finally! Dias Lucas with a frag grenade. Sweater goes down, but it might be a grim proposition. It's still 3v3, but the swing does not work for Mira. Drip not having as much success on the Mira as Thomas was. And all of a sudden, Favela's in the advantage. Only 30
Attackers have
seconds left.
located a
Carnage
bomb.
be holding the diffuser. Needs help from his team to
Attackers
try and push
dropped
through
the
Mudroom.
diffuser.
He's taking the fight against Filthy, and Filthy wins it. Diffuser's now dropped. They have no control over it. I mean, Dias Lucas is pushing through. He'll get the kill on Filthy. It's all up to Thomas, but he's on a heater.
Attackers
He'll
recover
get
the
one on the
diffuser.
stairs, and Dias Lucas has to be forced to the plant in 15 seconds
left.
time. Top control can be retaken by Thomas as well. They have the info.
10
He's got the
seconds to go.
pings through the bars. He'll light him up, and the headshot's found. Rent-free with round 6, and they will take a 5-1 half.
I was about to make a comment about how Rentfree all of a sudden went from a really heavy roam presence to sticking everyone on the bomb site and then not moving, and then Thomas goes and does that and proves the whole point absolutely wrong. Good job on Rentfree. It is 5-1. I don't know if I'm very confident in Favelas being able to pull this one back after that much of a deficit. They're on defense on an attacker-sided map. Even if Coastline being attacker or defender favored was something that we could realistically count on in this stage, I don't know if I have the confidence that Favelas can, pull any semblance of a comeback out of thin air, because they're going to have to do something. And one thing to note, we are currently still experiencing the sound bug on the observer side of things, so if we're able to get game sound reinstated, we will do our best to do so. And Crow, I don't know about you, but casting without sound is a little, it's almost like shouting into an empty room, you know?
Yeah, casting without sound can definitely be a challenge, especially if there's sound cue reliant calls like impact tricks or hard breach going off, or, people breaching from above, stuff like that. But, for now, while the bug persists, I guess we'll make do. I mean, the map is almost over. We might not even, if it's only 2 rounds left, if Rentfree continue their dominance on the other side, we might not even really need to rehost. So far, everybody except Prophecy currently positive, except Prophecy did have a big 2K last round to help swing things in favor for his team. And I mean, last round
10
was
seconds
very
remaining.
close. That was probably the most winnable round for the Favelas, other than the round they actually won.
5
Came down to a
seconds to
1v1, but because Dias Lucas used so much of that soft breach, And because
Attackers are
Thomas
heading
was
out
able to
to
just
defuse
walk
a
back
bomb.
upstairs and use it to his own advantage, Lucas wasn't able to fight it. So Jolton already trying to spawn peek out the pool window, a very default spawn peek on Coastline, but it'll be avoided, so he'll fall off, and we'll see if the Favelas play just as aggressively as Rentfree did on their defense.
Rentfree really trying to punch their ticket with a date to Beast Coast in just a few weeks' time at the very end of the CL season, and they're trying to make it the quickest 2 maps in a row that we've ever seen in CL thus far. Drip, first kill. Abonai gone. Sweater, second kill. Diaz Lucas gone. And Rentfree already making a strong case that their attacking half is going to be just as dominating as their defense half, as Favelas have no recourse except for that one. The Nitro Cell will sail through the doorway and take down the Down to Prophecy. Now Jolton and the rest of the Favelas, it's a 3 versus 4. Kino has almost no HP left to speak of comparative to that Rentfree still has. Now they'll have to be way more cautious with how they approach this. But he will grab one more kill. There goes Filthy. That's a
bomb
Lion
has been
and an
located.
Ash. Still plenty of fragging potential for Drip, Sweater, and Thomas to work with. But at least for right now, we seem to be at a stalemate.
Utility still kind of in Rentfree's hand, I would have to say. They still have all of Zophia's utility. They still have all of Drip's air jabs, in fact. And they have, well, 3 of the Capital balls left. His Sweater will send in an impact, likely to deal with some indestructible gadget. Kino is also very low on HP, and now they're setting up for the execute. About to stun out the man inside of Cocktail. It's Carnage B, who will now let that gas canister rip, but he's being pressed up upon. What? The Nomad just doesn't see him? That was an odd engagement. Sweater with one, Sweater with another. It's all up to the Zophia, but it looks like he might go for the pickup on the Drip. Kino from the stairs. He can't find the kill just yet. He hits the sprint, nearly gets his head taken off, but he does technically have diffuser control. The pickup comes, and there's the pre-fire from Sweater. A 3K from the Zophia will lock out the round for Rentfree, and they sit themselves on map and match point in a 6-1 lead.
This should be it, right? This is deja vu from Consulate. A 6-1 advantage. Favelas are decidedly in the most disadvantageous position that they've ever sat in. Rentfree are roaming like crazy. They're proving to be the most unpredictable squad I think we've probably had the pleasure of looking at over the course of the past couple of days in CL, and it's almost done and dusted. I don't want to say Favelas are... I want to give everyone a fair shot. I like being objective. I want to make sure that it's not completely at odds in one team's favor or another. And at this moment, Favelas are the massive underdogs. They got to win 5 in a row, then 2 more in OT, the exact same way they did on Consulate. But there's really not much else left to say.
Yeah, I mean, if I can harken back to a science reference I made in Map 1, when the Favelas went on their streak, you know, an object in motion stays in motion, but as soon as Map 2 started, Newton's third law states that every action has an equal and opposite reaction, and Rentfree proved that with a streak of their own, and they seem to just remain in motion on Coastline. So, I mean, they only need 1 round. They need 1 round. Even if it's off a fluke, they still make it to the Beast Coast game. Favelas are...
Is there a way that Favelas can kind of get the kick in the rear that they need?
I don't think so.
You don't think
honestly,
so?
I haven't seen a team down this bad since Tempo went 14-1 against TSM.
Since I believe TSM coined the term tempo storm as a verb, you mean?
Yeah, tempo storming is like the Siege equivalent of C9ing a game, but
Get tempo stormed, kid. Yeah, that's not
actually,
great.
remember when C9 was in Siege and in their very first game of the season they got 6-0'd by SSG and then later 6-0'd by SK? Boy, wasn't
Wow,
that a trip.
the North American
Yep, the North
Cloud9
American
team,
C9.
that is a
Right
classic.
When I think it was Fox A got promoted when they were Beast Coast and then C9. But here's an interesting thing. Rentfree are going to ride their hopes off a Monty push, and if it goes how it did on Consulate, then this should be wraps. That's it. That's all I got to say.
Here we go. It worked really well on the 1 round that Amonte was brought, and Thomas is sticking the role again. He was Luminosity's Montaigne player prior to, or when he was still in T1 competition in North America. Now we'll see if he can't try to make lightning strike twice. You've only brought Monty twice, and it's 100% success rates thus far. The only question is how long can this last? Kino, if he has an angle, can probably force the Monty out of position, but I'm trying to see all the way downstairs. He's got at least 1 player with him, does Thomas, so he's got cover. It's just that he needs to make sure that his back isn't turned to a potential roam that the Favelas have already set up.
And already there is a kill from Drip, who is sitting on the skylight, and here's the push in from the Monty. They now have complete control of service. Filthy will just hit the plant in the middle of the room because he knows he can, and it'll likely be a 5v3 post plant, and thus it is. DS Lucas nearly finding a frag. Abonai traded out for Drip, but it looks like it might all be over, ladies and gentlemen. DS Lucas on low HP, Jolton nowhere to be found. In fact, he's dead, and it's all over. Sweater with the final kill. The Monty push works out as they just punch a hole in the defense through service entrance. And ladies and gentlemen, that is a way more dominant last two maps than I thought possible. Rentfree take the decider 7-1.
Momentum carried from Consulate, and Rentfree have punched their ticket to a date with Beast Coast. It'll be Rentfree against the green guys, the green team. I'm trying to find a nickname that we can use for Beast Coast that isn't just calling them green because of what their logo is.
The wave. I don't know.
All right. Well, they're going to have to try and ride the wave in a couple of weeks' time in the finals of the United States Challenger League in Stage 2. This will happen on October the 31st, Rentfree versus Beast Coast, to decide who will be going into the eye of the storm and facing Tempo for that North American League spot in relegations in just a couple weeks' time.
Yeah, with the way that Rentfree and Beast Coast have both been looking, especially this game, I don't know if it's enough to beat Tempo. Sure, Tempo have looked weak in the NAL.
Mm-hmm.
They're a pro team. There is still respect to be had for them.
They shouldn't be discounted.
They are in Pro League, yeah. So no matter who wins, I definitely don't think it's a shoo-in, and they're definitely going to be fighting an uphill battle against Tempo. But I'm still Rentfree versus Beast Coast. With how well they've played throughout the past two series, they were both 2-1 wins, and they were both on Coastline. And they both played pretty aggro. I'm excited for next week.
So what are the chances that we see this map brought out again? Something that we saw both teams play in both their series today, and something that they both won on. So Coastline might be the map that helps us get to the finals, but is it going to be a battleground that we also see these guys play on in terms of deciding that relegation spot? We'll find out in a second. Let's go ahead and we can throw to some replays here real quick and just see how this map transpired again from a third person perspective. And there was a lot happening because Rentfree's style of game is stifle, surround, it's like you're trying to find a way to describe it other than that it just works. It's difficult to find the words.
Yeah, it's almost like like an unstoppable force that just kind of keeps coming at you over and over and over again, like a tide, comes at you, then it kind of peels back for a little bit, and then when you least expect it, it hits you again. So just the way they played this map, it was so aggro the entire time. And the Favelas, a team that usually leans into that kind of play style, just looked like they could dish it out but not take the heat, and they fell at nearly every corner. I don't know. I didn't expect Favelas to look this lost, but I guess this is why Favelas were considered the underdog.
After a performance as dominating as that one, what do you think the chances are? We saw Beast Coast earlier. We still kind of consider them to be more of an underdog, Cinderella story. There we go. Based on where they placed in Stage 1. And Rentfree were second place, losing only to Last Dance in the very last game. But can either one of these two teams, based on what we saw today, really, really have a chance against Tempo Storm? If maybe give me who you think would have the closer match, even if it wasn't a win or a loss, surely someone makes it more competitive, right?
Maybe Rentfree, just because they have a lot more pro experience on their side with, two former pros, and what was it? Two players that very nearly were in Pro League.
Yeah.
Whereas Beast Coast they have Ghost and they have Fozo.
And they have a Bra Core that was also playing in USN back in 2019. So there's already a lot of experience to be said there.
Yeah. I'm not sure. Maybe Rentfree, just because they were in the finals. I think we need to see a little bit more for Beast Coast before we can say that they'd have a chance against Tempo, just because, again, they were 7th place last stage. I'm very happy, with their improvement. Frozen's putting in the work, the squad's putting in the work. But
yeah, I
think for now, of course, unless Beast Coast wins, I think I'm going to say Rentfree. But that's that map done. And we have 2 more games after this.
We have 2 more games. The stream has been going For 7 hours
nearly
already.
7 hours. Jeez.
Well, we're in it for the long haul, and we're not quite done with this one just yet. We've got one interview coming up on the side of Rentfree. I believe it should be Thomas if he's the guy.
Yeah,
He did it last week, so we'll hear from the big man in just a second. Don't go anywhere. We will be right back before we throw it over to Game 3, and that one should be a barn burner as well. Are we doing the interview right now, actually? Let's find out. All right. Don't even give me a chance to prep interview questions. We'll go right into the break. Who we got on the interview? Let's see how this one transpires. Hey, that's not frozen.
Hello?
Hey, how's it going? Can you hear me?
I can hear you. I can hear you perfectly. How are you doing, Jacob?
I'm doing good, brother. It's been a long time since you and I have been able to talk face to face. It was like the invitational, and then after that, everything just kind of dropped down. Congrats on the win, dude. How in the hell were you able to pull out those last 2 maps in such dominating fashion, bro? That's insane.
I mean, it was their pick, and we brought it 7-4, and it was just easy. Sorry, this game was kind of personal to me. If you were looking at my Twitter, a week ago, Kino, no, I'm not gonna lie, Kino and Jolton, they're the homies. We play ranked, yada yada yada, but they talk too much. And let's just say I clipped the thing from my own stream because I was streaming at twitch.tv/Thomas_6. Thank you. And I use that every day as a motivation. Shout out to Michael Jordan, The Last Dance. It became personal for me. And Jolton's out here saying, he could have beat us in Siege Rivals like 4 months ago if he didn't have $30 of sleep. Hey, GG's, homie. I'm just saying. You gotta bring the smoke if you're gonna talk that heat. And we brought the smoke. In regards to the maps, we were ready. We knew they were gonna take us on Cafe. We banned Cafe. We took them to Coast. They have nothing on us on Coast except for TLD. Mind you, we switched 2 players out. We switched Benji and Richie. We brought Prof and Sweater. Our Consulate is probably the best ever. Like we take it pro teams. Even we take maps off pro teams on it. Even our Coast. Those. And it's not saying like we don't have any other maps, but like we're so good on every single map because like we put in the time. And if you noticed last week when I was talking to Uzu, at the start of the season, I actually like at some points, I wanted to, the team wasn't fully there, and we talked about it. We got over our egos, we got over our mental. At some points, I wanted to quit, and then guess what? We all put it aside. We said, "Yo, we're grown men. Pick it up. Let's keep our composure during game day scrims, and let's go." And here we go.
How do you guys feel that you're gelling after having enough time to work with it? It's not quite the same team as you had at the very back end of Stage 1. You've had to make a couple of adjustments here and there, but 2 straight wins. You're heading to the final game against Beast Coast. How is the team working together at this stage in the game?
Shout out to our coach Brycer and our newest analyst, Swim. Never Swim Alone. He joins. All he wants to do is get chips. Like he wants a legacy under his name. He's putting in the work from the spreadsheets to the PowerPoints to the presentations. We're all there. Everyone is there mentally. We're there. Monday through Friday we're grinding. Saturdays are game days. Sundays off days. You gotta rest your body sometimes. And there you go.
You guys already have a pretty good regimen going into it, and it shows. But I guess something I'm a little bit confused on is why couldn't Clubhouse have the same style of play that we saw from both Coast and from Consulate before that? Something felt like it was a little bit off. Was it more that Favelas just kind of felt it's more of our battleground, or is it just something where you were like, we can drop this one, we got the next 2, and then from there it's easy pickings?
It was their pick. I love Club. My whole team loves Club, probably except for Sweater. But like, we're all very good at it. He said I freaking hate Club. But I was like, bro, don't worry. Next map. But like, Club for us is one of our best maps as well. Because obviously you've seen us Guidance Gaming. But Club is, no offense, Club is getting to a point where it's dog meat now. It's so stale. There's only one way to push it. You gotta it's always gonna be a blue church. You can't change it up how you can change Coastline with service takes, security takes, penthouse takes. You can't really move around with Clubhouse because if you don't open one wall or you don't open up one hatch, you're pretty much the round is over unless someone has to do a hero play. With Coast and Cons, even though they're OG maps, there's new strats, there's new roams. Every operator comes out, there's something new with it. With Club, it's the same thing. No matter if you bring Ace, Maverick, you still got to open up CC wall, G2 wall, which is garage 2, or cash wall, depending on the push. And it's like those are really your roadblocks. So I think club, compared to those two maps, is kind of a map that needs to be changed as soon enough out of the rotation.
Yeah, no, I hear it. When it comes to ones that are more and more stale, you don't really hear club mentioned, so it's good that we got someone else's opinion on it. One thing that I wanted to mention before I let you go, it's Beast Coast on October 31st. You're playing, and you're going for the chance to go right into the eye of the storm against Tempo for that relegation spot. Anything that you want to say to Beast Coast real quick in terms of how confident you guys are feeling and letting them know, sending a message about how that game's going to transpire?
I'm just going to be honest. Beast Coast just got to be prepared, because if I want it, I got teammates that want it more, and I got Filthy that wants it more, because Filthy was on Tempo, and he's ready for that match. So he's coming in hot. He is ready. Like, there's no stopping him. Like, he's on full blast. He's on his John Wick mode. He was playing John Wick in the beginning of our team speak. Like, he was ready. Like, if we came hard today, expected 2 times more. They're obviously a good team. We're gonna match up good. Probably go 3 maps. We'll see. And yeah, we'll see them on October 31st, the day after my birthday. So it might be a good birthday present to send them away.
Yep, I hear it. All right, anything you want to say to your fans and your supporters real quick before I let you go?
Shout out to the supporters. Shout out to everyone. Shout out to my coaches, my players, and shout out to that lucky person out there named TSM at Steve. I gotta throw him a shout out. FaceTimes me. Gives me the motivation to grind the game. He tells me I can be back, and I believe him on it. So, and peace out. That's it.
Have a good one, brother. GG's.
Thank
Congratulations
you.
on your win again.
Take care. Much love.
Is that the most entertaining interview we've had in CL thus far?
I love Thomas. I love Thomas. I don't Intero. I think it was Intero always talks about how much he loves Thomas interviews. I love watching Thomas interviews. Every time I've seen a Thomas interview, I come away with a smile. So,
it's impossible to not love the man.
There are other people who are great interviewing. Like, I love interviewing Frozen, because Frozen will get down in the nitty gritty. I love Thomas because he just talks trash and hypes up his team, and it's so entertaining.
I was really worried Favelas might pull it back because we wouldn't be able to see the interview happen at the last second. I'm like, yes, let's go.
As soon as of course, we always want to give teams a fair chance. As soon as Consulate ended, I kind of wrote him out. I'm not gonna lie. But they're not out. Well, I mean, they're out of relegation spot, but they'll still be playing. But Rentfree, great win, 2-1. Maybe not as fast as Thomas would have liked, but of course, still a win nonetheless. And they'll be up against Beast Coast next week. But we do have a third game. It'll be the losers bracket game, and this, as you can see, next week, Beast Coast up there. But the next game, the Last Dance, who a lot of people did not expect to be in this position, up against Joe Esports. And if you think about it, this game has just as much weight behind it as the winners bracket does, because CL has 2 relegation spots. 2 teams from the next qualifier will play up against the 7th-8th place teams to try and get into CL. So no matter who loses this next game between the Last Dance and Joe, they'll still have to play relegations, and that is always a scary position to be in. So both teams, just like we saw both teams right now bringing everything they got, gunning for the PL relegation spot, these teams will probably be bringing out everything they got to avoid the CL relegation spot.
Well, that's going to do it for us for right now. It's going to be Benny and Cookies back on the desk to take you through the first game, the third game, not the first game. It's going to be Joe Esports versus Last Dance for that first relegation spot. Do me a massive favor. Don't go anywhere. We will be right back after a short break.